Backrooms database. Watch your back. Level 320. The new and improved Entertainland. Welcome to the MEOD Wayback Archives. These archives are different from the article revision archives, as these catalog articles that are no longer held on the database, whether they be for ex-residents, destroyed levels, lost objects, or indeed any other article which has since been deleted for any reason. Each is itemized in these archives. You have accessed the Wayback Archives for the previous iteration of Level 32, Forest of the Skeleton Queen, as per the search guidelines of before 20/10/2021. Disclaimer. Despite old events, the MEOD holds the data of its residents with the utmost care, even in spite of alleged data breaches of its residents. We at the MEOD ensure conversations, written documents, and private messages are not kept long term within the MEOD's immediate archives, and are instead deleted after the appropriate time has passed. We greatly apologize for internal lapses in judgment, and we are doing all we can to keep the family of the MEOD whole during these trying times. MEOD, acting as one on the behalf of many. 2023 to 2037 Reformatted General Public Database. Survival difficulty. Class 1. Safe, secure, minimal entity count. Level 32 is a large amusement park, about 200 meters across from edge to edge. Image caption. A photo taken in Level 32. Note, this picture needs to be changed. Description. Level 32 is an amusement park with a size of 200 meters from edge to edge. You enter the level outside its entrance. An infoman is at the entrance booth. The booth will be underneath a large archway with the words Entertainland in large light up letters. Entering the amusement park will be the same as entering the conservatory in level 30, shifted beyond reality. Ask about the entry fee and enter the raffle. Food trucks will, quote unquote, sell food and fried almond water for free. All rides will be free, as you will have a strange wristband you do not remember having. This is the quote-unquote free pass wristband. There will be carnival games that have prizes, such as Death Moth plushies, first aid kits, and even night vision goggles. All people there, other than the other explorers and Infoman, will be docile facelings. All rides are safe, except for the roller coaster with the sign above it that says Mr. Bones's Wild Ride, with a skeleton with a top hat above it. This coaster is reportedly infinite, but it is not proven, as the ride is closed down and broken and impossible to enter. Bases, outposts, and communities. There are no known bases, outposts, or communities on this level. Entrances and exits. To enter, you must find a plushie of an entity in level 11, the city that never sleeps, and then find a carnival and enter it with the plushie. To exit, simply leave the amusement park and walk in any direction from the entrance to go to level 11. See the previous level, level 31, roller rink, or the following level, level 33, the infinite mall. Exit the Wayback Machine. Private direct social line. Level 320, the new and improved Entertainland. Pink. Hey, you won't believe it, but I think I found it. Magenta. Yes, yes, this is it! I'm surprised you were able to find it, Esther. Pink. It was easy. I just called one of my mom's old work friends, Holly. She found it quick. Man, this page is old. Reads like something from when my mom was, well, younger. Definitely before my time. Magenta. Before either of our times, I think. Pink. Definitely. Unfortunately, this level seemed to hit the end of its lifespan. I suppose it wasn't the link to archive.org's Wayback Machine archive of a previous version of level 29, Hyperion. The Backrooms. You've been here before. Survival difficulty. Class undetermined. Mysterious properties. Unknown information. Undocumented entities. Level 29 is the 30th level of the Backrooms. Air is thin and glitched out at this level. It has a unique transportation, unlike all the others. Image caption. Picture of level 29. Note, the painting leads to level 11, the city that never sleeps. Description. The beginning of this level is very boring. You start off in a plain room. In order to leave the room, there are 4 paintings. Each one leads to a new room. Some of these paintings lead to other levels. The rooms are very modern, and paintings to other levels make it look different. Almond water here is very often found in modern glass cups. This level is 12.6 million square miles. Be sure to look closely to the paintings, as they can lead you to a blank room with an entity or death. This is a trap, and you may die in these rooms. It is recommended to get out of this level as soon as possible. This floor has many entities, but they are not encountered very often, unless it's an entity painting. Entities found here are skin stealers, smilers, windows, hounds, facelings, candle striders, howlers, crawlers, clumps, death moths, anethicas, and transporters are found here. The light here is mostly from windows or light switches. Never directly stare at a window or get close to them. Otherwise, all light will go out, and you will need a flashlight. Once this happens, the rate of entity paintings will increase, and flashlights are scattered around this place. So are gas masks. There is a lot of mold once the lights go out, and the modern like look turns to an abandoned look. No one has survived when this happens, because it is thought exiting to other levels when this happens is impossible. Image caption: Picture of level 29 when the lights are out. The light in the picture was made from an unknown source. There is an entity in this picture. The wall type here shows the danger level of that room. Brick means that the room is very dangerous and is recommended to leave these rooms immediately. Plain wallpaper with any color means that is normal, and encounters with entities happen around every 10 to 30 minutes. Concrete is the final wall type found here. It means that you are near a brick wall. No entities wander around these wall types, but they may accidentally wander here. The level has many floors. The highest floor reached was floor 10. The higher the floor is, the more entity paintings you will encounter. Also, the amount of brick wall and mold increases. In order to reach the next floor, you need to find the staircase that leads to the next floor. The higher the floor, the farther it is. Colonies and outposts. It is impossible to have a colony here, due to the air and mold. Entrances and exits. The only known way to get here is from no clipping into a door in level 28, Stormstone Keep. Some paintings lead to other levels. They are thought to lead to any level, but level 0, tutorial level, is the most common. Return to the original article on level 320. Link to the archive.org Wayback Machine archive of a previous version of level 30, shifted beyond reality. The Backrooms. You've been here before. Survival difficulty. Class 1. Safe, secure, minimal entity count. Level 30 is a large conservatory, approximately 1 mile across in any given direction from the center to the edge. It has only been explored by the real maple syrup. Level-30-cc.jpg is corrupted. Image caption: The only known image of level 30. Description: Level 30 is the 31st level of the Backrooms, in the form of a large bird conservatory. It is reportedly home to a seemingly infinite assortment of birds, from penguins to macaws to Jerry, and even some sightings of dodos. One enters the level outside the conservatory. Leaving this area will result in being transported to level 11, the city that never sleeps. Checking one's pockets in this level will result in finding a brochure they won't remember picking up. Opening it and reading it reveals the conservatory is called the Walton Conservatory. Entering the conservatory will reveal an information booth with a man dubbed Infoman and a gift shop. Infoman will answer many questions, but asking any he doesn't understand will make him say, "Sorry, I don't know." Asking how/where they found all the birds will result in Infoman saying, quote, "I just kept walking and found them." End quote. Asking how much it costs to enter will result in Infoman telling one it is 20 of a foreign currency one haven't ever possessed any of in one's life. Then Infoman will say, quote, down on cash. Don't worry. Enter the raffle for a chance to win a free entry ticket. Offer ends in 1 week. End quote. The raffle will never end, and it will always, quote unquote, end in a week. Entering the raffle will immediately cause you to win. You are then free to enter. Trying to enter without winning the raffle, one will never have the money to pay the entry fee, will cause Infoman to act as a skin stealer. Almond water flows from streams in seemingly infinite amounts, and sunflower seeds are found inside a small staff-only area that must be broken into to access. The only entity found in this level is Jerry. Jerry is almost always found in this level, but reportedly is not dangerous. Colonies and outposts. There are no known colonies or outposts on this level. Entrances and exits. To enter, seemingly find a conservatory building in level 11, the city that never sleeps. To exit, leave the conservatory and walk in any direction away from the conservatory to return to level 11. Return to the original article on level 320. I suppose it wasn't the only one. Link to archive.org's Wayback Machine archive of a previous version of level 556. No data currently available. The Backrooms. You've been here before. Survival difficulty. Class undetermined. Mysterious properties. Unknown information. Undocumented entities. Level 556 is the 557th level of the Backrooms. Image caption: a long hallway in level 556, showing a broken wall in the ceiling where the second floor is. Description: level 556 appears to be some kind of abandoned office space, likely a school or corporate building. The hallways are lined with doors that lead into empty rooms or other hallways. The walls of this level are brittle and can easily be broken with a crowbar or any other heavy object. Behind most of the walls are closed off rooms, furnished with cabinets and miscellaneous office supplies. These rooms are designed to be used by people, despite being inaccessible to someone without the means to break down walls. There appears to be two floors on level 556. The first, as mentioned previously, contains long hallways and destructible walls. The second floor is currently inaccessible, the floor of which seems to be pipes and other ventilation machinery. Frantic footsteps can be heard moving quickly across from above. It is possible to encounter clumps hanging from the ceiling, though this is exceedingly rare. Small drones that have been sent through holes in the ceiling found nothing occupying the second floor. When the drone turned on its flashlight, connection was lost. Colonies and outposts. Those above. What is assumed to be a colony of wanderers make refuge in the upper floor of level 556. Attempts to reach the upper floor of level 556 have been made, but have yielded no results. 15 wanderers are estimated to live here. Communication is difficult, but not impossible. They appear to have a simple system of knocks where 1 knock, yes, 2 knocks, no, 3 knocks, hello/goodbye. Revision. Update. As of March 29th, 2020, the colony, known as Those Above, has been deemed eradicated. Entrances and exits. Entrances. The level key for level 556 can be obtained upon request from Senior Operative Vincent from Meg Base Omega in level 4, Abandoned Office. It can also be accessed from the hub, 27 cycles north from the entrance in level 1, Habitable Zone. Exits. No clipping is the only reliable way to leave this level. Return to the original article on level 320. I suppose it wasn't the only one, but it still sucks. Must be why we couldn't find it in the main database. Magenta. Yeah, you're probably right. I was hoping to go to it again, hopefully taking you with me. Pink. Oh well. We only went once. The memories were pretty hazy. It doesn't help that we were young kids when we went there. Magenta. Oh, but you gotta admit it was good. The rides, the games, the nice beachside feel it had to it. I'd kill to go back there again. Pink. There's always 345, Liminal Forest, and 890, Overprotection. They're both good amusement parks, from what I've heard. Pretty sure level 890 had some modifications done to it recently, too. Magenta. Those aren't the same. Pink. Heh, whatever you say. At least we still have the memories of the place, right? Magenta. I suppose so. Maybe I could take you to one of the places you mentioned as a good second option to the old level 32. Forest of the Skeleton Queen. Pink. I'm pretty busy, unfortunately. I need to always be available to help out my mom down in the next block over. You could always take your friends to the other amusement park levels there are. Magenta. I don't have many friends, unfortunately. A lot of them moved or got relocated, and I don't have good ways to contact them. Pink. Oh, sorry. I imagine you can't get their codes to message them on the direct line. Magenta. No, I've tried. And it's fine. You didn't know. Pink. Hey, yeah, no problem, Magus. Sorry, I can't do much. I know it seems like I'm avoiding you, but adulthood decided to hit me hard, and, frankly, early. This shit with my mom has swamped me. Magenta. It's okay. I totally understand. Is your mom at least getting better? Pink. No, she's not. I'll probably need to head up at some time this week. Just gotta arrange it with my sister. Magenta. Your dad's still out of it, I assume. Pink. He's still cooped up in level 90, newly renovated home, like a coward. Whatever, it doesn't matter too much. If he doesn't want to be there, my sister and I will step up and take the role he refuses to. Magenta. Well, good luck. I'll speak to you later, Esther. Pink. Aye. See ya. Return to home page. MEOD, acting as one on the behalf of many. Level 320. The new and improved Entertainland. The blog rooms, breaking out fresh news since 2027. Image caption, March 28th. Factual. Former Meg Underseer passes away at the physical age of 94. In the early hours of yesterday morning, it was officially reported that Somalia Hanks, one of the original members of the former Meg, had died. She passed away in her sleep sometime in level 11, the city that never sleeps. Level 11's quote unquote midnight hours after a long, almost decade long battle with Alzheimer's, which had plagued them not long after her retirement in 2026. Somalia Hanks, originally born in Massachusetts in January of 1943, made a name for herself in the early days of the Meg by helping establish their database, done by using the ruins of an old database, which was later learned to be the OS of the defunct organization known as the Leaders. Although known as cold, stern, and oftentimes cruel in the initial 2 years of the Meg's growth, she gradually mellowed as she found community and family in the form of her husband and two adoptive children. Despite already being old when she was found by the Meg, she insisted on performing a mix of managerial database duties as well as on site field research, which saw herself eventually becoming an underseer. Her most well known finds, and some of her last, include the discovery of PA 98 and Level 206, Bones of Bones. And she is also the individual who has conducted the interviews on the page for the middle sorts. The shockwave of her sudden, yet expected passing has been felt across Eleven's, the city that never sleeps, Eleven's capital, as well as the wider reach of the MEOD network. As one of the last surviving original figureheads from the MEOD's original three conglomerates, it feels as though the Backrooms as a whole has entered a new era. The work of Somalia Hanks will not go forgotten, and her legacy lives on in her children and widowing husband. Molly Hanks and her partner, David Carey, are currently arranging details of her funeral and honoring her written will, seemingly in the absence of Somalia Hanks's husband, Jason. Somalia's family has refused to answer questions, even the more distant family of Molly Hanks's partner. Even though this behavior is understandable, it also leaves little up to interpretation on how the family is coping, nor does it allow us at the blog rooms to give insight. Featured articles. Locke spokespeople. Examined. No image caption available. Holly Clove teams up with Octavia Astra to do a deep dive into the shortcomings of head office. Quote, it stared at me, right in my eyes. End quote. First-hand account leaks about 605, respite for a traveler, calls into question the ethical morals of the Corpus Corps. The BRC are conglomerated. Now what? No image caption available. The conglomeration of the Backrooms Remodeling Company marks the 150th group brought into the MEOD family. Alexandria Davies has predictions. So many places, so little time. No image caption available. Explore with Maud Fillin the new and exciting travel destinations opened up to us from our most recent conglomeration. Blog Rooms, 2027 to 2037. The combined workforce of the former UBDS, B Rooms, and Daily Rooms. Open the private lines. Private Direct Social Line. Level 320. The new and improved Entertainland. Magenta. Esther, are you doing okay? Pink. Please leave me alone. Magenta. I just wanted to say that I'm sorry about your mom. Do you want to talk about it? Pink. Did you not read what I put? Magnus, I get you're trying to be nice, but this isn't the time. I want to be alone. I don't want another message berating me. Magenta. Another? Pink. Yeah. Apparently I'm not allowed to mourn the death of my own fucking mother on my own. Magenta. Has something happened, Esther? Pink. It doesn't matter, Magnus. News people have been hounding me both in person and on my phone. That's all there is to it. Magenta. Oh, I'm sorry. Pink. I know. Sorry, that came off as mean. I didn't mean it to. I just want to be left alone, Magnus. I need time to process what happened, okay? Magenta. Do you want me to come over? I assume you're in level 11, the city that never sleeps, right now. I could bring some food. Are you there? Pink. Yeah, I am. Sorry. I'm going to decline. Sorry. I'd rather be alone. Message me in a week, maybe. Magenta. Oh, sure. Things will turn out well, Esther. I promise. You're strong. Pink. Thank you. Change private lines. Private direct social line. Level 320. The new and improved Entertainland. White. Hello? You just opened up a direct line with me. Who are you? If this was an accident, say so. I'm busy. Magenta. Hi, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. White. That's very clearly not true because you did. Just because it's Saturday doesn't mean I'm not working. I get a lot of emails and direct lines. Please tell me what it is you need. Please. Magenta. Just to make sure, you are Holly Clove, right? Level 100? Silent sounds. And Boulder's Holly Clove? White. Are you really trying to get on my bad side here? I have more recent and better achievements, you know. Magenta. Oh, I know you do. Sorry, I suppose. I just wanted to make sure I had the right person. Holly Clove's a common name. White. Yep. Magenta. Okay, good. Now that that's out of the way, I'd like some help. A mutual friend of ours isn't having a great time with things right now, and you're an influential woman in the MEOD. I figured that you could help me do something for her to lift up her spirits. White. Who's this mutual? Magenta. Oh, it's Esther. Esther Hanks. I know you and her mom were close. I figured you were close with the rest of her family, too. White. You're friends with Esther? Wait, who are you? How old are you? Magenta. I'm Magnus Grand. I'm sure I've been mentioned by Esther before. We're close. White. Oh, right. Yeah, okay. Your name is familiar. It's been mentioned. You're from 29, Hyperion, right? Esther mentioned that. Magenta. Yep, I'm a Hyperia baby. White. Right. Well, fine. What is it you want me to do? Magenta. Well, you're a woman with hands in a lot of pies, and I imagine some of those pies are somewhat involved in the new BRC conglomeration, right? White. Yes, technically. I'm a Blogrooms reporter, so I can't exactly get you hooked up to Captain, but yeah, I know people from my more active days. Magenta. That's completely fine. I was wondering if you could maybe do some kind of page based on the levels that have gone missing or died. You know, like one of the old level 42s. The Horizon. Maybe the last level that took level 32, the Forest of the Skeleton Queen, level 32's slot. White. What's level 32 again? Actually, I'll just check myself. The one with the Skeleton Queen? Why there? No one's been there in over a decade. Magenta. No, no. The level that held its slot before that. The theme park one. Do you remember it? I think it vanished around 2021. White. Oh, that one. Right. I remember it vaguely. I didn't even realize it was gone. Wait, how the fuck does writing about this level make Esther feel better? She lost her mom, dude. B-tier amusement park attractions aren't going to fill that hole. Magenta. It's one we both went to when we were younger. I sort of figured with her losing her mom, she could at least have something back. White. In the form of an article where it isn't even the focus. Have you thought this through? Magenta. Well, I was hoping that after the article, level 32, Forest of the Skeleton Queen, would get popular again, and, well, maybe it could be revived? Maybe by the renovations division? White. Dude, that's way out of my pay grade. I can't call up the renovations division and ask them to spend insane money and resources bringing back a level that's been dead for a decade in the vague hope of making Esther superficially happy for, at most, a day. Magenta. I think you're being a bit too harsh on the concept, but that's pretty much the idea, yeah. White. Oh my god. You do know I don't get to pick what I write about, right? We have a writer's room and advisors for a reason. Magenta. Well, I know you can at least suggest it. Please? I saw you posted something today when I got the news of Esther's mom dying. Surely you need another article to write. White. Well, I guess I do. I'm not back in the office until Monday, but I'll pitch the idea. Don't expect it to go anywhere, though, and don't expect credit. There's also no way in hell I'm contacting mutuals from 5 years ago to revive an entire fucking level. No chance in hell. Magenta. That's okay. I think I know how to do it myself. White. You're like 19. How the hell do you plan on doing that? Magenta. I'm 20, actually, but I think I have my ways. White. Right. Whatever, man. I don't think your idea will help Esther in the slightest, but you seem hellbent on it. Thanks for the idea to pass by the board on Monday at least. Magenta. No problem. Oh, you already closed the chat. Exit the private lines. The Backrooms. You've been here before. Level 320. The new and improved Entertainland. 01/04/37. Okay, the plan's going well so far. I think I messaged Holly again a few days back when she first got in the office, and I think I can now confirm that the article is underway. She has a co-writer or two, probably that Octavia Astra woman from her last project, and someone else who doesn't matter. The point is that I know the article is being made, and will probably release in like a few weeks perhaps? I've got no idea how fast they publish. Apparently, they pump out articles pretty quick. I think they try to mirror how fast the front rooms can publish stuff. Although, I've also heard that their journalism scene is quite a mess, according to Holly. She can be quite serious and hyperbolic, though, so I have no idea if her claim that AI writes most things on Earth is true. Frankly, it sounds stupid. Anyways, I'll stop writing this stuff. I enjoy it. I love looking over my plans and seeing how I reach their conclusions. But I only have so much paper. I really need to buy more. Maybe if I enjoyed my own writing less, I would save more money. Oh well. So, once the article is written, hopefully by the 15th at the earliest, I'll show it to Esther. No doubt we'll already be talking again by then. She said to message her again in a week, and that was 4 days ago, so she'll be in a slightly better headspace, I have to hope. I'm sure the article will make her feel better if she's not. No doubt the article will get people talking about level 32, Forest of the Skeleton Queen. More images from the place will resurface as people reminisce. People will also reminisce about the other dead levels, but oh well, they can do that too. And when I approach the right people about bringing it back, I'm sure they'll say yes. I mean, why wouldn't they? Man, I can already imagine what bringing back level 32 could mean for the future. Hell, this could bring a massive resurgence in popularity for the levels of old. Imagine it. Level 16, Altered Topography. Level 26, the SS Fun, smiley face. Level 70, Freud Town. All the previous level 42s, the Horizon. I'm also sure that Hyperion's 29, Hyperion, slot was previously taken by another level that died before 2017's Exodus. Note, see level 587, where we used to have fun. What if we got them back? I'm sure the remodeling people could do that, if those leader lot from however long ago could. So, perhaps, before the end of the year, I could have level 32, Forest of the Skeleton Queen, a closer relationship with Esther, and perhaps, if I'm lucky, and really clever, I could start a revolution where we not only bring back the world of old, but even keep all our current ones alive. Perhaps I can come out later and say it was me who gave Holly Clove the idea, especially if she tries to undercut me and claim it was her idea and be well known in the backrooms. Other people get to have that claim to fame for way less. It's not like I'm sitting at desks in the low levels and arguing or whatever the Meg overseers did when they were relevant. Oh, and alive. I just checked, and they're dead. Oh, and obviously, this will help Esther feel better, but that goes without saying. That's why I didn't mention it until now. Anyways, I'm going to drop in with Holly and check Esther's Instagram to see if she's posted anything yet. She hasn't the past few days, which I totally understand. I'm just using it to gauge how well she's feeling. The fact that she's posted nothing yet isn't a great sign, I admit, but there's still 3 days until I can stop by, so that's still time for her to feel better without my help. Activity detected. MEOD's Activity Surveillance Archives. Level 320. The new and improved Entertainland. Activity detected. Monitoring activated. Hallway camera 1 active. Hallway camera 2 active. Specialized camera 2-4 active. Specialized mic 2-4 active. Real-time AI transcript active. Begin recording at 7:43 p.m. Date 04/04/37. Location Apartment Zimmels, first floor, apartment 4, level 11, the city that never sleeps. Involved individuals Esther Hanks, Magnus Grand. In the later hours of level 11's quote unquote evening, the apartment complex was empty, aside from a few people walking home from their weekend shifts that were not important enough to trigger a full surveillance. When almost the entire complex was empty, however, an individual carefully made their way down the hall and towards apartment 4. He stopped at the door, took his hands out of his pockets, fixed up his hair, and gave a set of 3 knocks at the door. After getting nothing but silence, he swung on his heels momentarily before giving a second set of hastier knocks. Magnus Grand. Hello? Esther, are you in? After speaking, Magnus only got more silence in reply. However, it didn't seem to faze him as he quickly gave a third set of knocks. This time, the door began to swing inward slowly, and a pale head poked itself out. Though looking normal for the most part, the woman behind the door had large and heavy bags under her eyes, with hair that looked clean. However, it looked barely styled and poorly brushed. She also wore what looked to be a thin dressing gown, with a vest and jogging bottoms underneath that. Though she was nothing but confused to see the man on the other side of the door, her expression changed from being confused that someone was at her door at all to being confused as to why this person specifically was at her door. Esther Hanks. Magnus? What are you doing here? I'm. This isn't a good time. Magnus Grand. Is it not? I. I waited a week, like you asked. Esther Hanks. Did I ask that? Magnus Grand. Yeah, last Saturday. You said to wait a week before messaging you. I already messaged you, so I figured I'd make my way over. Esther Hanks. Don't you live in 209? Old Chippy. How long did it take you to reach me? Magnus Grand. I started to make my way over quick when you didn't reply. I got worried. Esther Hanks. Dude, why do you think I didn't reply? Magnus Grand. Because of your mom, I am assuming? Esther stared blankly at Magnus, completely unsure on how to respond to their reply. Her head lowered after a while, and she pinched the bridge of her nose with a low, huffing sigh. Esther Hanks. What was it you came here for? Magnus Grand. I wanted to check up on you, Esther. I wanted to make sure you were okay with everything going on. I got a few snacks. Magnus fits his hand back into his pocket, rummaging in it for a moment before pulling out a small pocket, smiling as he presented it. Esther looked at it with a tired glance before shrugging and shuffling backwards to open the door more. Esther Hanks. Right. Yeah, okay, come on in. Ignore the mess. Enhancing conversation tracking procedures. Switching to specialized camera LR2-4. Specialized mic LR2-4. Real time AI transcript still active. Important. The following footage must be deleted within 168 hours unless preserved by an administrator or archivist. Keeping the door held open, Esther allowed Magnus to stride in, smiling to her pretty jovially as he set down the pocket on the table by the sofa, which was just beside the door. Without being asked, he made his way to the sofa and sat down, resting his arms on his open legs. Esther Hanks. Do you want, like, a tea or something? Magnus Grand. Oh, no. I'm okay. Thanks, though? You can make one for yourself if you wanted one. Esther Hanks. Yeah. I probably will. Enhancing conversation tracking procedures. Activating. Specialized camera K2-4. Specialized mic K2-4. Real time AI transcript still active. Important. The following footage must be deleted within 168 hours unless preserved by an administrator or archivist. Esther made her way to the kitchen that was conjoined to the living room, washing up a single mug from a large stack of dirty ones, whilst setting on the electric kettle. By the time she'd found the milk in a tea bag, the kettle had finished. She poured herself the tea, leaning on the countertop as she took a sip of it. Esther Hanks. So you just wanted to check up on me, right? Magnus Grand. Yeah, basically. Um, I imagine things haven't been great. Esther Hanks. Oh yeah, what gave that away, huh? Magnus Grand. Oh, sorry, that's an obvious sentence. Esther Hanks. Don't apologize. My fault. It's just hard to switch between speaking to aggressive news people in taxman tone and speaking to my friend tone. I, I hope you get what I mean. Magnus Grant. Totally, I do. Hey, you're getting better at it than you were a week ago. Esther Hanks. Ugh, yeah. Shit, sorry for shouting at you back then, too. Magnus Grant. It's no problem. I'm not gonna blame you for it. Your mom died. You're gonna be emotional. Everyone would be. Esther Hanks. And I assume you were? Your mom's dead, right? Magnus Grant. Yeah, she is. It was during the 13.1, no data currently available, stuff. I suppose it was unavoidable. I was pretty young, too. I don't think I fully understood the concept of her being dead until later. Esther Hanks. You would have been, what, 5 years old? Magnus Grant. Yeah, I don't think a child who's just developing long term memory understands the idea of death. Esther Hanks. Well, I did. My biological parents passed at the same time, same event. Magnus Grant. Somalia wasn't your real mom? After Magnus asked his question, Esther shot him a slightly confused look. She removed her weight from the countertop and moved to sit next to him, keeping the tea on her lap. Enhancing conversation tracking procedures. Deactivating. Specialized camera K2 4. Specialized mic K2 4. Real time AI transcript. Important. The following footage must be deleted within 168 hours unless preserved by an administrator or archivist. Esther Hanks. Well, Magnus, was my real mom. I barely remember my actual parents. If that wasn't for the fact Somalia and Jason taught me their past, I wouldn't even know what group they came from before the big merging. Magnus Grand. You know what I mean, though, right? I didn't know you were, adopted. Esther Hanks. Of course I am. Me and my sister both are. Somalia was black. Jason's pretty tan. I'm about as pale as you can get without looking like a vampire. Magnus Grand. I just never thought about it too much. Do you mourn your biological parents? Esther Hanks. I mourn them about as much as you mourn your mom, I guess. I was only a year younger than you when it happened. Somalia's death hit much more because she's, to me, the only mom I've ever had. She's the only one I remember, at least. Magnus Grand. Huh. Esther Hanks. Please don't tell me you're weirded out by the idea of me being adopted of all things. It's not an uncommon thing. There's an orphanage like 4 blocks away. Magnus Grand. No, no, I'm not weirded out by that. I'm not weirded out by any of it. I don't think. Esther Hanks. Dude. Magnus Grand. Sorry. I'll put a pin in that. It doesn't matter. Your feelings matter the most. And right now, you're sad. Do you want to talk about it? Or watch something? I got food either way. Esther Hanks. You know what? I've had to talk about my mom all fucking week. Can I ignore all that for a few hours and watch something with you? Magnus Grand. Absolutely. I didn't suggest the idea for nothing. You can pick what goes on. Consider it your night. Esther Hanks. Yeah. Alright. Why not? Give me a sec to find the remote. This house was one that was provided to me. I don't know where anything is. Magnus Grand. Go ahead. Gives me time to get the food out. Esther gave an endearing smile to Magnus, getting up off the couch and beginning to look around the small living room for the remote, checking the sparsely populated bookshelves around the rooms first. While she did so, Magnus picked up his pocket again, retrieving from it a few packets of chips and some candy packets as well. The rustling momentarily made Esther turn her head and look, but her attention went back to hunting for the remote afterwards. By the time Esther had found it and returned to sit, Magnus had laid out the snacks at the coffee table in front of them both, even dragging it forward with his foot. Esther Hanks. You brought an awful lot. On such short notice, too. Isn't the shop around the corner closed on weekends? Magnus Grand. It is, yeah. A lot of places around here are. I followed a safe route to a shop an extra block out. Esther Hanks. You really didn't have to do that. Magnus Grand. Of course I did. You're feeling like hell. I wanted to make you feel better, even if just for a day. Esther Hanks. Do you have anywhere to stay? Magnus Grand. Heh, nah, I don't. My closest acquaintance in 11, the city that never sleeps, is a good 2-hour walk away and outside the capital. It's fine. I'll make my way back to 209. Old Chippy. It's easy enough. Esther Hanks. No, stay here, all right? This place is tiny. It's got no spare room, but the couch is pretty comfortable. I mean, we're on it. You can tell it is. It's not the best, but it'll work for a night. Magnus Grand. I'll take it. It's a free bed. Of course I'll take it. Thanks, Esther. Esther Hanks. No need. It's the least I could do for how much you've gone out of your way for me. Magnus smiled back and watched as Esther pulled a blanket from the top of the couch cushions and put it over herself, turning the TV on with the remote underneath it, while Magnus opened up the packets of what he had brought to Esther's temporary flat. Esther herself accessed the reformatted GPD's film archives, opting to put on a relatively recent remake of a Disney movie that had been pulled from the various front rooms' internets. Magnus Grand. Do you like these sort of films? Esther Hanks. Yeah. I I know it's a shitty remake, but they make me feel good. My mom watched them a lot with me, and I watched them a lot with her when, you know, when she got older and ill. Magnus Grand. Did she ever see this one? Esther Hanks. No. No, she didn't. Not like she would have remembered it either way. I want to watch it for her sake. Magnus Grand. Well, hey, that's what we'll do. Esther thanked Magnus, raising up her knees and resting her feet on the edge of the couch as the titles and company names for the film passed by. Magnus reached to his right and turned off the living room lights, with the kitchen lights following suit not long afterwards automatically. Activity detected. Monitoring reactivated. Specialized camera LR2-4 active. Specialized mic LR2-4 active. Real-time AI transcript active. Begin recording at 8:50 p.m. Date 04/04/37. Location Apartment Zimmels. First floor, Apartment 4. Level 11, the city that never sleeps. Involved individuals Esther Hanks, Magnus Grand. About half an hour into the film, the pair were silent, completely engrossed in the antics of the characters within it. Esther was clearly enjoying it the most, and Magnus was at least liking having something to watch as the minutes ticked by. During a more quiet moment of the film, he had begun giving little side-eyed glances at Esther, who seemed totally engrossed in the film's dialogue. Some snacks in hand, he began to scoot sideways to Esther, sitting almost directly beside her. Esther Hanks. Are you alright, Magnus? Magnus Grant. Yeah? I was just wondering if I could share the blanket with you. I'm feeling a bit of a chill. Esther Hanks. Oh, sure. You could have just said so. With a look of endearment, Esther raised her right arm and allowed for Magnus to slip inside, and he did so. He still stuck close to Esther out of necessity, since the blanket was too small for them to share it with too much space between them. Esther seemed to angle her shoulder down and to the side to make sure Magnus didn't get too close to her, to which he seemed completely oblivious to. Esther Hanks. Are you comfortable? Magnus Grand. Yeah. You enjoying the film so far? Esther Hanks. Definitely. Yeah. It's pretty mindless, but it brings back good memories. My mom would have loved it. Magnus Grand. From how you've described her, I bet she would have. Esther chuckled at Magnus's comment, sighing and resting herself further back into the sofa, and refocusing back onto the movie, getting back into the plot. Once the pair were both refocused on the scene, Magnus slowly and subtly put his arm around Esther's waist. At first, it didn't seem as though Esther knew what was going on, but her spine suddenly shot up straight, and her arms locked in place, once she realized what Magnus was doing. Esther Hanks. Magnus? What are you doing? Magnus Grand. Huh? Oh, well, I figured the mood was right. Esther Hanks. Why do you think that? Magnus Grand. Because we've got the lights off, the curtains drawn, we've got snacks and watching a film together, and you were feeling sad, but I made you feel a bit better. I I figured I was doing something right. Esther stared at Magnus confusedly, shifting herself forward and pulling Magnus's arm from her back. Esther Hanks. Magnus, I don't see you that way. And on the chance I did, now is not the time for a relationship. I'm not in the headspace for that. Magnus Grand. It doesn't have to be a relationship, like a proper one. I can just try to make you feel better a little bit more, just for a few minutes. Esther Hanks. I Magnus, what the fuck? Esther gave a quick huff, reaching for the remote and pausing the film, standing up and letting the blanket they were previously sharing fall to the floor. Esther Hanks. Please tell me you were joking. You can't really think this is the time for that. My mom died last week, and this is what you try to pull? Magnus Grand. I figured you'd want it. You were being nice to me. We were watching a film and generally having a good time. Esther Hanks. We're friends, Magnus. I don't think I've ever seen you that way. Not for a relationship, and definitely not for a Magnus Grand. Right. Sorry, I sort of saw it coming. It it was a shot in the dark. You did always seem a little different from other girls when we were kids. I suppose I should have seen it coming. You wouldn't be into me. Esther Hanks. Magnus, I'm not. Oh my god! Esther sighed, a wobbly frown forming gradually on her face. She leaned her head into one of her fingers, wiping her eye of a tear and crossing her arms afterwards. Esther Hanks. I'm. I'm overreacting. I have been doing that a lot. Please, enjoy the rest of the film if you want. I think I'm going to go to bed, Magnus. Magnus Grand. Sleep well, okay? Esther Hanks. Yeah, I will. I will. Good night, Magnus. Magnus Grand. Yeah, good night, Esther. Esther nodded, sniffling as she turned and paced briskly to her room, closing the door behind herself as quickly as she opened it. Magnus watched, a look of confusion painted across his face. He picked up the blanket, took his shirt off, and laid down across the couch to sleep, turning the television off before doing so. Evaluating conversation tracking procedures. Potential activation of specialized camera BR2-4, specialized mic BR2-4, real time AI transcript. Evaluation of conversation tracking procedures concluded. Potential activation of specialized camera BR2-4, specialized mic BR2-4, real time AI transcript. Denied. Return to the home page. MEOD, acting as one on the behalf of many. Level 320. The new and improved Entertainland. The blog rooms, breaking out fresh news since 2027. Image caption, April 16th. Historical. The places we lost. Part 1. We often see the levels we reside in, visit, and discover as being these great titans, worlds that, for those not backborn, surpass anything beyond our frame of reference and what we could ever believe to be possible. While all of those points are true, I don't believe it's untrue to say that many people don't consider the life behind them, at least not in all aspects. Levels can be beautiful, dangerous, and unique, much like life itself. But when individuals consider the quote unquote life of Backrooms levels, it is through a metaphoric and poetic lens. But no, when I describe life in levels, I refer specifically to the fact that they are born, they live, and they die. It has always been known that levels have a lifespan, although quite how long those are has never been concretely determined. The former Meg, operating between 2012 and 2022, watched a great many levels reach the end of their lifespans across the short but historically important years of their operation, as did anyone alive during the 2010s. Whilst the number of levels that reach the end of their mortal coil or their closest equivalent has dwindled in recent years, it is still a fact of life that we all seem too keen to shy away from. The reasons, I'm sure, are obvious. It is understandable why people would want to look over the death of levels, given the existential dread and danger of living in one when it happens to meet its demise. However, it is just as important to remember the dead as well as move on from them. Similar to Maud Phelan's Destinations series, as well as Bonnie Fielding's Insights series, the Blog Rooms has elected to begin yet another series of informational articles looking into different aspects of our lives, with one common thread linking them. For this series, our aim is to bring light on the levels long gone, the people who lived in them, where they are now, and what happened to the level itself. Whilst formulaic, our research into this series has proven a variety of results for each answer, which we are deeply interested in sharing. Our first level choice to showcase over the next few months is the previous level 32, Forest of the Skeleton Queen. Though the title is now held by a dangerous grayscale forest held in pitch black, it was once held by a location more commonly known as Entertainland. It was a difficult choice as to which level to cover first, from the former level 609, the Decay Zone, which opened the eyes of various early 21st century groups to the idea of level death, to the Crimson Forest, whose inhabitants still have a completely unknown fate. We have decided to cover level 32, Forest of the Skeleton Queen, for its lighthearted feel, which seems like a good starting point for a series that has the opportunity to turn dark. Level 32 itself was a relatively small amusement park slash fairground, complete with everything from roller coasters to carnival games to food vendors. These either operated automatically or had facelings to aid. The venues were used by a great many people, with its visitor count being kept in check by a wristband given to all who entered the level at the level archway. As it got more popular, this entryway was a necessary component to stop the level overcrowding itself. With that popularity, both within the Meg and from other groups, came some occasional refurbishments to the level. Many of the rides had routine cleanings. Actual Meg inhabitants got jobs working the attractions, and Mr. Bones' Wild Ride had a grand reopening, after some modifications done by multiple factions. Level 32 was a level that was incredibly well enjoyed by people for countless decades, mainly because it somehow survived any kind of ownership for the entire time it was alive. The level either was not around or was incredibly different during the era of the Lost, nor was it discovered when the Machina were at their peak. The first discovery, surprisingly, was done in 1959 by the Police Unified Group and uploaded to the general public database under the name Recreational 28. Its name, Level 32, was coined in July 2014 by the Meg and stayed as such until October 2021, when the level seemed to vanish, taking 13 people with it. With hindsight, the early warning signs of the level's demise were obvious. Reports of breaking down roller coasters became prevalent, and Mr. Bones' Wild Ride only survived being reopened for 2 years before mechanical faults began to rear their heads. It is not known what actually caused the death of the level, due to our lack of knowledge on why levels die at all. But what is known is that its gradual demise caused fewer people to attend, especially when other and more impressive amusement park levels were discovered, such as level 345, Liminal Forest, which many people found entertaining, even with its dangers. The final death rattle for the level was when the Infoman himself, who controlled entry into Entertainland, left the level in the dead of level 32, Forest of the Skeleton Queen, level 32's night, taking much of the staff and the entry system with them. Ironically, this did cause a momentary spike in attendance, which had plummeted to single digits on most days. 6 days after his fleeing on September 30th, the level's entrances ceased to function, and everyone who was at the level on the day never returned to their homes. Though there is no concrete proof the level is dead, the fact it followed the exact same trend of many other missing levels and known dead levels like level 26, the SS Fun, smiley face, and level 609, the Decay Zone, has led everyone who remembers the level to consider it as dead. This was also the case with the Meg, who replaced the level 32 slot with its current designation not even 2 weeks afterward, as that level had been recently discovered at the time. Following its demise, it can be assumed that it fell into the colloquially called bottomless blue to join the graveyard of other dead levels at the bottom of the blue channel. From a social perspective, level 32, Forest of the Skeleton Queen, was largely forgotten about. There were months where Meg civilians were in denial over its demise, and hotly debated the number being taken so quickly, but those thoughts subsided quickly, and it fell out of the zeitgeist. Whilst this ends the history of Level 32 itself, this series does not end here. We at the blog rooms have a myriad of levels to cover, as there have been countless levels that have met their end, some from centuries before our time. Some have a known in-depth history, others not so much. So we urge you to tune in this time each month to learn a new and forgotten fragment of our collective history. Coming next week, the short-lived and tragic history of the Crimson Forest. Other featured articles: The Last Dangerous Game, no image caption available. To celebrate the 7th anniversary of the simultaneous passings of Amanda Townsend and Peter Stockton, the Winners League's 2037 pool tournament is returning back to its roots. Protection Needs versus Wants. No image caption available. Longtime MEOD critic Melanie Parker speaks with us at the blog rooms to voice their concerns on Tuco's surveillance system. Bringing in the Thrill. No image caption available. Maud Fillin brings us to the 4th must-see travel destination, highlighting the wonderful Level 890, Overprotection. Reinforcing the Future. No image caption available. Take a look underground to see how Level 13, the Boiling Frogs, Level 13's structural engineers are working on keeping Level 13.1, no data currently available, secure for longer. Go somewhere new. Add. No image caption available. Silas and the rest of the travel division have a range of long term holiday destinations fit for any length, any budget, and any need. Fighting fragments. No image caption available. The unconglomerated groups of the Arlene Circle still refuse to cooperate. Sean Reddy goes undercover to find out why. Secured, protected, and contained. No image caption available. The outbreak of crawlers in level 414, Hortus Aeternus, that has been rapidly developing since last July, has been successfully contained. Agno and Igoni have their side of the story. More extended family. No image caption available. After a 6-month-long search for Evangeline Holmes turned into a tragic collection of her body at the Corpse Lake, note, see level 10.1, Corpse Lake, her advisors have decided to finally conglomerate the masked maidens with the MEOD. Amor Hucramentum. No image caption available. Despite long talks to conglomerate with the MEOD, the Amor Incrementum not only denied the requests, but has left Level 4, Abandoned Office, to parts unknown. Blog Rooms, 2027 to 2037. The combined workforce of the former UBDS, B Rooms, and Daily Rooms. Suspicious activity archived. View? Yes. MEOD, acting as one on the behalf of many. Level 320, the new and improved Entertainland. 17/04/37. Magenta. Hey, Esther? Pink. Oh, look who it is. Magenta. Yeah, I know. I haven't messaged in a while. Sorry, I've been a bit busy with things. I'm sure you have been too. Pink. Like, you wouldn't believe it, Magnus. What is it you want? Magenta. I want to apologize, Esther. I am sorry for what I did. Pink. I want you to tell me what you did. Magenta. What? Pink. What do you mean, what? You acted like you cared about what I was going through until I got uncomfortable with your advances, and then it was nothing but small talk until being ghosted. At a time like this, I needed your comfort. Magenta. Yes, of course, I'm sorry. It was wrong of me to do, and I've felt bad about it. I didn't know how to apologize properly, which is why I've been inactive. Pink. You didn't say what you did. Hello? Magnus? 18/04/37. The entire time I was thinking, can you believe the audacity? I won't finish the last line of that quote. I get I made her upset and pushed things too far, but I really feel like I'm being hounded on a lot for simply misreading the room. You'd think that with the issues and paperwork that comes with the passing of her mom, she'd have way bigger, much worse things to think about than some small advances I made she didn't like. Whatever. No person is without their little quirks, and that's especially true for Esther. And Holly, come to think of it. God, she was a pain too, considering I've given her an almost endless stream of pages to write free of charge. I would have been more grateful myself, but there you go, I suppose. I left the chat with Esther in the end. I have a few things going on and job applications to sift through. It doesn't matter which one I go for. I'm pretty sure when the resurrection of dead levels becomes huge, I'll be able to mooch off residuals and other stuff. I mean, it'll be a shift, of course. I better get something from it, you know? I'll check back in with Esther tomorrow. A momentary bit of ghosting never hurt anybody. It's the extended ghosting that seems to cause the issues, so just doing it for a few days and letting Esther sort out family shit should work better. Hopefully, her rudeness will ruminate around in her skull, and she can realize she took things a bit too far. I'll see. In any case, I have much bigger plans at hand. 19/04/37. Magenta. Sorry for vanishing again. I got a sudden job interview that seemed pretty urgent. Apparently, one of the chip shops needed a new worker ASAP. Pink. It's okay. Look, Magnus, you don't need to lie to me. I get why you left the chat. Magenta. What do you mean? Pink. I was being a bitch. I'm sorry. You already know why I am, but it still doesn't excuse it. Magenta. Don't say that. Pink. Why not? It's true. I felt so fucking lost after my mom died. I really need her help with these stupid forms, and obviously I can't get it. And no, I'm not contacting my useless dad, not after he flunked getting the train to see mom pass. Note, see level 185, the next train to depart from platform blank. Magenta. If you say so, I guess. Are you at least feeling better? Pink. I'm not angry anymore, if that's what you mean. Are you really sorry? Genuinely? Magenta. Of course I am, Esther. I'd never want to make you uncomfortable or do wrong by you. Pink. Thanks. I'll make sure you don't have a reason to be a stranger. Sorry about that again. Magenta. No need to apologize. Colon, close parentheses, smiling face emoticon. 20 slash 4 slash 37. Honestly, I think I'm beginning to impress even myself with these recent streaks of plans. I genuinely think what happened yesterday was one of the best accidental moves I've ever done. I'm back on Esther's good side. Excellent. And all it took was a momentary ghost. I knew it'd work. If only everyone worked like that, then maybe Holly Clove would have been less frumpy with me. Oh well. I've also finished writing the different transcripts for my plan, which has been a lot of fun, actually. It's pretty neat pretending to be different people for each different thing I wrote, and making sure I wasn't repetitive at any point with my writing as well. I mean, that was difficult to do, almost as much as coming up with a bunch of different handwritings. I ended up letting AI do a few of them for me. These all get scanned digitally, anyways. Should be fine. However, unless I suddenly think of something more to do, I'm done. Okay, no doubt. I'll do some more tomorrow before I head out and enact the next step of my plan. But that's the fun of it. This is definitely going to take a few days to do in its entirety, but I doubt anyone will notice. 21 slash oh 04 slash 37. Magenta. Hey, how are you today, Esther? Pink. Better, I think. Definitely not as good as you are, though. Magenta. Well, I feel better knowing you're doing better. Sleep well? Pink. No, not really. When I did get to sleep, I went out like a light, but I opted to stay up for hours getting some leftover forms filled in. At least they're all done now. Magenta. Congrats! Glad to hear you're pushing through it. I knew you could. How much is left? Pink. Oh god, I'm not even sure myself, Magnus. Lol. But, look. It's Tuesday, I'm already exhausted, and, let's face it, we're both unemployed. Do you want to come over? I'm in a good enough state to have a visitor, I think. Magenta. Ah, honestly, I'd love to, but I've got a thing going. It's important. It's potential work related. Maybe on Tuesday? Then maybe we can do a second meetup on Monday. Pink. Why are you planning two? Magenta. I'd like to make it regular. Pink. Oh, definitely then. You're on. Begin transcript at 8:46 a.m. Date 21 slash oh 04 slash 37. Location Level 608, the trove of their hobby. Level 608's main auditorium. Captured from security cameras AA-1, AA-2, AA-3, AA-4, and AB-1. Person slash people of note Magnus Grand. Despite being a weekday, Level 608's main auditorium was seeming particularly packed, primarily with one or two parents and their children that seemed either ill or too young to be in education. Within the main hall today, amongst the constantly present Railwayman's Broth Cafe, the various educational tents, the main entrance and queue to enter the level, and the turntable in the middle with countless famous locomotives around it, was a large seating area at the back of the room that surrounded a myriad of tables. Whilst the sparsely populated chairs were taken up by adults, the tables were surrounded by children of extremely young ages, playing with various toy building blocks and trains that were manufactured for very young kids. Among the crowd of parents watching their young was a childless individual, the same age as some of the parents, but far younger than others. He wasn't solely watching the playing children, as his eyes appeared to wander to the other landmarks around the room, most notably one of the steam-lined trains and the Railwayman's Broth Cafe queue. But he was focused on the youths more than other things. About an hour after he sat, he got up, stretching his arms and letting the seemingly heavy messenger bag fall off his lap and to his side, held onto his person by the shoulder strap. With that, he began to walk the main hall, stopping at the informational podium for the train he had previously been eyeing. Blake. Hey, you! I'm Blake. Did you know that this train, the Duchess of Hamilton, was built in 1938, crew? That's a city in the front rooms, with a population of 538,874, under the umbrella of England. Ain't that cool? Magnus Grand. Dumb. Magnus Grand scoffed at the podium, which had begun to speak to him through a tiny speaker using an AI recreation of Blake, with a basic 3D animation playing on the screen at the podium's top in place of the wall of text that was there prior. Magnus stared blankly at the screen, though, even when the AI blanked on how to reply to his statement, and the animation awkwardly replayed the same idle animation repeatedly, giving subtle glances to the second, different podium to the left of it. Magnus Grand. You know, Blake, what passed as entertainment when I was young was far better than whatever the hell you are. Magnus sneered at the screen, with what seemed to be a degree of genuine disdain, moving slowly towards the second podium. Instead of being informational, this pillar was designed to take reviews and recommendations, not only of Level 608 itself, but also for the recent remodelings and refurbishments done to countless levels in general, which were sent straight to a wide variety of divisions for reading, archival, and potential follow through. The front side of the podium had an angled embossment on the front that held a tablet within it for writing reviews, but it also had a thin yet wide hole designed for accepting written notes as well. From his bag, Magnus procured a written note, haphazardly taken from a bound stack of many others, and slotted it into the podium. Magnus Grand. There you go. After the podium accepted the paper, its internals gave a momentary whir, and the screen switched to a message that first read, checking for profanity, and then, checking for relevance. After a final whirring, the screen flashed a big green tick, and then returned to the digital keyboard and notepad it usually displayed. Magnus Grand. Welp, that was boring. Can't wait to do it again. Magnus Grand pivoted slowly on his heel, twisting and sauntering to the Railwayman's Broth Cafe. Assessing further relevancy. Potential for brevity. Brevity assessed. Summarizing further events. After ordering some basic food, Magnus returned to sit in the temporary play area, taking a different seat to the one he had before without realizing. He crossed his legs and diverted his attention between similar landmarks to the ones he had done the previous time, although he switched to staring at the shorter and stockier one instead of the large one from before. After another hour had passed, Magnus righted himself again and made his way to the locomotive he'd been eyeing. Just like the previous one, by the side of this steam engine was a podium designed to accept reviews and suggestions, to which Magnus Grand submitted another paper taken randomly from his bag. This pattern of sitting and submitting forums on an hourly basis continued for the entire time that Level 608 was opened for, only halting after 11 different submissions. These submissions were all distributed at a different podium each time, all but one of which was located inside the main auditorium. At the end of the day, Magnus was one of the last to leave, excluding the closing staff. Cross-referencing suspicious activity with subsequent surveillance transcripts. Cross-referencing concluded. Similar patterns by Magnus Grand enacted on the following dates: 22/04/37, 24/04/37, 25/04/37, 26/04/37, 28/04/37. View further archives. MEOD, acting as one on the behalf of many. Level 302, the new and improved Entertainland. Begin recording at 8:46 a.m. Date 29/04/37. Location Level 13.1, no data currently available. Level 13.1's Governmental Plaza, Renovations Division Main Building. Participants Jack Amspoker, Penelope, Fritz Opal. Fritz Opal. Hey, got something for us? With haste, Fritz walked into the large office room that was utilized by Renovations Division's top members. Although there was a good amount of desks present, enough for each member to sit with some spaces spare, not many were actually using the desks provided. This was especially the case for the less humanoid and former BRC members of the division, which took up the majority of those present. Penelope. Ooh, really? Huh? Well, pass it over, human. Penelope shot Fritz a wink, turning on her 6 legs and sauntering to him from her desk. She looked down at his hand, to which he was carrying a standard issue tablet with a basic, automatically generated report form. Once Fritz realized Penelope was eyeing it, he passed it to her with an awkward smile. Fritz Opal. Here, it's the usual bunch of reviews that people gave, nothing special. Penelope. Ah, really? Shit. Thanks anyways. Fritz Opal. Yeah, no problem. Are you guys gonna actually read them? Jack Amspoker. No. Who cares about what dumb ideas people have? They don't know how this place works, and they definitely don't have our timetable and quota. Fuck that, dude. Fritz Opal. Right. This is maybe obvious, but what's the point in them, then? Penelope. I don't know. Captain probably gets off to hearing good praise his group receives, even if it's not his group anymore. Fucking dumbass. Fritz Opal. Where actually is he right now? Jack Amspoker. Huh? Don't know. Really? Penelope. He's probably out holidaying and enjoying the fruits of his labor, as in, our labor. Fritz Opal. Right. Fritz awkwardly cleared his throat, scooting to sit at his desk. It was decorated with a myriad of more quote unquote normal items, at least when compared to what most of the other employees had on theirs. Meanwhile, Penelope looked back at the tablet and began to hastily scroll to the bottom of the list to delete the inbox. As she did so, Penelope began to realize a commonality with the suggestions as they quickly whizzed by her eyes, and that a large sum of nearly 100 were grouped together under a warning label. Penelope. Ooh, hang on a moment, actually. Jack Amspoker. Penelope, please don't tell me you've scrolled past an idea you like. We're done fucking with level 0, tutorial level. Okay? We've done it. Note, see level 0.2, remodeled mess. Twice. Note, see level 0.3, the icy rooms. Penelope. No, no, not that. The list of reports has done something strange. Fritz Opal. What's it done? Penelope. It's done something I've never seen before. Jack Amspoker. Alright. Consider me a little intrigued. Penelope. Let's see, oh, alright. It's listed over 100 of these requests as being fraudulent. That's fucking amazing! Fritz Opal. How is a suggestion fraudulent? Penelope. That's exactly what I was thinking, meatbag. Penelope grinned, making her way to her desk, which she had raised up high in order for her to stand at it and work. She set down the tablet on a stand to angle it upwards and began to skim through the reviews. When she reached the second review, a curious smile crept onto her face, one which turned incredibly entertained by the third and fourth. Penelope. Holy shit, guys, this is the weirdest thing I have ever seen. Hang on just a moment. Penelope double tapped the top right corner of the screen and pressed one of the options that had subsequently dropped down. The lights in the office dimmed, and the two others present turned their heads to the section of the wall that had a flush television slash interactive whiteboard within it, watching as a projection of the tablet appeared on its surface. As Penelope began to talk, she began to scroll the list slowly, her movements copied on the wall. Penelope. So, someone over the course of a single day submitted, around a dozen suggestion forms for us to, uh, huh. Jack Amspoker. Penelope, your pauses are beginning to piss me off. Penelope. Oh, well, sorry. I'm just incredibly confused, as should you be. Not all of us can afford being either stoic or boisterous. Some of us get stuck with stunned silence. It appears that this guy, I don't know who they are, sent a request for us to revive the old level 32, Forest of the Skeleton Queen. Entertainland or something, I think. I vaguely remember it. Fritz Opal. Why would someone suggest that so many times? Penelope. No idea, my guy, but it is entertaining. Oh, incredible. They did this over the course of a week. Over 100 suggestions for bringing back some level I didn't even realize was dead. Amazing. Jack Amspoker. If you say so, they sound annoying. Penelope. Jack, just to be clear, this guy seems like the most annoying guy I've ever heard of. You gotta admit the dedication, though. Fritz Opal. Yeah, I suppose. Why not? This sounds like something we should report, right? That's not normal behavior. Penelope. If we were boring, sure. I ain't boring, though. I think we should do it. Jack Amspoker. What? No! We're not doing the requests of some hyper-fixated moron. What did I just say about our timetables and our quotas? You literally said the same thing a moment ago. Penelope. Well, true, and for the record, I totally agree with you, Jack, but think about it like this. We've never actually revived a level before. Why don't we give it a go? Jack Amspoker. We've never tried that because it's not possible. It's dead. Fritz Opal. Just because it's dead, that doesn't mean it's gone. The level still exists, just inactive and decaying. Jack Amspoker. Yeah, I know. I've been renovating levels since before you no-clipped, Fritz. I know how a level dies. Fritz Opal. Right. Sorry. Penelope. You shouldn't have said that, Jacko. If all levels end up in the compost heap at the bottom of the blue channel, there's no reason to say that we can't pull them out. Jack Amspoker. Uh, yeah, there is. They'll be abandoned, toppled over, and possibly buried under a level which died and fell on top of it. Penelope. Pah, minor things. Barely even issues. I think we should at least try it. And level 32 sounds like a fun first go. From what I remember, it's pretty small and simple. What could go wrong? Jack Amspoker. Everything. We're not doing it. Penelope. We'll see. Well, it's been a few days and nobody's knocked at my door. I have to assume my plan worked. Whether or not the requests actually go through, though, I have no idea whatsoever. But if the next email on the MEOD's new projects at the end of this month doesn't mention level 32, I'll draft up some more request forms and drop them off at a few other levels. I'm considering widening my reach a bit more. Instead of solely dropping off these requests in level 608, the trove of their hobby, maybe 436, salvaged seaboard, 890, overprotection, and that Asian looking one. Note, sea level 178, Kyoto Dreams. I can't remember the name of. Esther has gradually been getting better, I think, which is good. It did take her a while to come around, but I'm glad she has, and no doubt I helped out with it. From what I know, she hasn't had any visits from extended friends on Somalia's side, or surprise blog rooms interviews/questions. Things have been quiet. I can only assume the reporters that would have been crowding around her are instead doing research for the series idea I gave Holly. So I guess I helped in two ways. Neat. The third installment of The Places We Lost comes out tomorrow, which I'll definitely give a read to. I have been slipping Holly Clove messages of levels to cover, ones like the old level 70, Freudtown, and level 85, Brilliant Evermore. But whether or not she actually uses them, I have no idea. It's not like she responds often. Last week's was the Crimson Forest. Tomorrow's is Factory of Overgrowth. Link to archive.org's Wayback Machine archive of a previous version of Level 23, The Petrified Garden. The Backrooms. You've been here before. Survival difficulty. Class 1. Safe, secure, minimal entity count. Level 23 is the 24th level of the Backrooms, which takes the form of an overgrown abandoned factory. Level 23 1 cc.jpg is corrupted. Image caption: the main area of Level 23. Description: Level 23 was discovered by an unknown wanderer after imagining an abandoned factory in Level 18. Memories: this level has been measured to be at least 300,000 miles, although it could be larger. Almond water is not found at this level. The factory seemed to, at some point, be operational, as several mechanisms are still functional. It seemed to produce firearms. Level 23 2 cc.jpg is corrupted. Image caption: some windows at a higher level of the factory. Pheromones from the mold, as well as sulfuric acid in the air, make exploring deep into the level extremely dangerous without a gas mask. The plant life that has overgrown the factory is mostly moss and vines. Colonies and outposts. The Outcasts, a group of 17, revision 14. Footnote: I'm sorry! Also, they shot first. Captain Liu, at least I got an AK 47, 74, and AK arm, and two pistols. End footnote. People that have taken almost all remaining weaponry and bullets left in the factory. They have also taken control of all remaining operational equipment and are attempting to create more guns. They are extremely hostile and not open to trading, apparently former members of the BNTG. Entrances and exits. To enter, you'll need to imagine an abandoned factory in level 18, memories. To exit, simply no-clip out of the level, although you may end up in a negative level. Return to the original article on level 320. And neither of those are ones I suggested. The tease for next week will probably be one I put forwards. 01/05/37. Begin recording at 9:27 a.m. Date 01/05/37. Location: the control center. No data currently available. Main terminal. Participants: Penelope, Jack Amspoker, David Moss David. Penelope. All right, people, let's get this going. With a spring in her many steps, Penelope strolled into the large octagonal chamber that made up the main quote unquote editing suite for the Backrooms Remodeling Co. Most of the chamber was taken up by floor to ceiling server blocks that lined the walls and formed rows in the middle of the room, with the rest being taken up by a newly installed terminal in a C shape that had the ability to visualize and broadly edit levels remotely. Jack Amspoker and David Moss David were sat at opposite sides of this terminal, looking to Penelope in unison. Jack Amspoker. Well, look who finally showed up. You're only half an hour late. Penelope. Hey, 28 minutes. I counted. And besides, I'm busy, as per usual. Captain's still off his extended vacation doing God knows what. And let's be honest here, with who knows what. David Moss David. I didn't need that image in my head. Penelope. Tough. You can distract yourself with work. After her remark, Penelope sauntered to the middle of the desk, kicking away a chair marked Captain so that she could stand in its place. She picked up her satchel with both hands, flipping it on its head and dumping its contents onto an empty part of the terminal's countertop. Half a dozen ancient looking level keys clattered onto the table, some old enough to leave a dusting of rust powder on the terminal's surface. Penelope. There we go, boys. 5 level keys, which I think once connected to the old level 32. Forest of the Skeleton Queen. Jack Amspoker. You think? David Moss David. I thought you said you could get us level keys from level 32 for definite, Pen. Jack Amspoker. I could get us keys easy. If this doesn't work, I'm gonna suggest canceling the project to Captain himself. I'll drop him a direct line. Penelope. If these keys don't work, Jack, I'm going to make you get 10 more as unpaid overtime. I am number 2 here. Jack Amspoker. Yeah, whatever. David, try the first key, won't you? David Moss David. Which one's the first one? Jack Amspoker. Any, dude. With a momentary apology, David scooted over to the pile of keys and raised up his forearms, letting his hands hover above the collection of old keys before taking one at random. He held it in his hands, gazing at it curiously, before nodding to himself and making his way back to his section of the control panel. Holding the key at the bow, he slotted it into the terminal's master lock, twisting it to the right to activate some of the terminal's functions. Watching the screen, David tapped rhythmically and anxiously on his thigh as the terminal seemed to struggle with the key it was provided. David Moss David. Nothing yet, guys. Jack Amspoker. Well, Avia Penelope. Hey, don't need you bringing the mood down any more than it already is. Give the key a moment. It has been dead for at least a decade. David Moss David. I think this key has been dead for a little longer than that. It looks older than most of the others. It can't get a lock, so to speak. Jack Amspoker. That's not surprising. Even if it could get a lock on the level's frequency in the bottomless blue, its frequency would be surrounded by the other frequencies of every other dead level around it and below it. This is why this is a bad idea, Penelope. God, I want a drink. Penelope. Ignore him, sweetie. Take one of the less rusted looking keys and give it another go. David Moss David. I. All right. Pink. I hope you got home safe, Magnus. Sorry I slept in so late. I get why you left. I imagine you're busy, right? Magenta. Look who it is. Awake at last. Sorry for leaving. Yeah, I have a lot to do. I enjoyed the film last night. Though, could I suggest the next one? Pink. Sure. Sorry for having to take the couch again. I can't imagine it's very comfortable. Magenta. Nah, it's fine. It's comfortable enough. Pink. Maybe I can come to yours at some point? I know you have a spare room, or at least I think you do. Do you? Magenta. I wouldn't expect you to travel when you've got so much going on. Pink. I still feel bad. Okay, look, for the record, I do not want a repeat of last month, but we can share a bed. Opposite sides, obviously. Magenta. If that's okay with you? Pink. I'm warming up to the idea the more I think about it. 03/05/37. Begin recording at 9:07 a.m. Date 03/05/37. Location: the control center. No data currently available. Main terminal. Participants: Penelope, Jack Amspoker, David Moss David. Penelope. Okay, third time's the charm. And I think I've got a winner. With a grin, Penelope upturned her satchel yet again, just like she had the previous 2 days. Only two keys clattered out of her bag and onto the terminal, although one of them certainly stood out in contrast to the other. It looked almost pristine, with only a few specks of rust on the bit and the pen. David Moss David. Is that one meant to be there? Penelope. It is. You wouldn't believe it, but this one's from a collector. They recently passed away, I believe, so their entire stock was up for auction online. I noticed the one labeled Entertainland in the pictures. Jack Amspoker. Did you spend a fucking fortune on it? Penelope. Nope. I got it marked as a business expense. Even got the permission to end the auction and just buy the whole thing outright. Those other keys are sitting very nicely in my shed. David Moss David. Do you want me to try that one first? Penelope. Course. It's the one I'm banking on the most. That other one is a last ditch backup. I'm confident about this one. With a nod, David scooted his chair over to the pile of keys and took the almost pristine one, bringing it to the same slot he had used almost 20 times over the past 3 days. He slotted it in and twisted it to lock it in place, and looked to the same monitor he had many times already. His knees began to bounce, watching the loading wheel spin slowly and endlessly, hitting a couple of stutters after 10 seconds of searching. The room was as tense as it was silent, with Jack Amspoker fiddling with some origami animal in boredom, while Penelope began to peer over David's shoulder. David Moss David. Oh, I think it's worked! Jack Amspoker. What? No way it worked. Fuck off. David Moss David. No, it's definitely worked. It's faint, but I've got a matching frequency between the key and a blip in the bottomless blue. Penelope. Brilliant. Can we get a visual? Penelope reared up behind David, fully putting her hands on the back of his seat while she peered over his head, looking down at the screen. David Moss David. Oh, hi. Yeah, hang on. I can get it up. David leaned forward, tapping on the corner of the screen and swiping up on the collapsible that dropped down after the fact. In the middle of the room, just in front of the terminals, a thin pane of glass began to slide down from the ceiling. When it was fully deployed, taking up the height of the room, an opaque image projected onto it. Initially, the image was a solid blue screen with the loading wheel spinning endlessly. However, in an instant, it changed to a drone camera that was lowering onto a flat, messy expanse, misted in a blue haze. Jack Amspoker. I can't see it. Penelope. Well, duh, it was a small level, and I already can't make any details out from this distance. David Moss David. The grunts will be getting closer. Give them time. It's a long distance to travel. Jack Amspoker. All right, all right. Although unconvinced, Jack leaned back in his chair with his animal and watched the screen with his arms firmly crossed. The other two watched with him as the drone began to lower closer to the floor of the bottomless blue, hovering above the hollow skeleton of an 80s Soviet-era city level. Jack Amspoker. I don't think that's it. Penelope. Wow, you really had to get all your neurons to fire to make that assumption, didn't you? Jack Amspoker. Whatever. David Moss David. Just ignore him, David. We're close to it, I think. The drone continued to fly, passing over a series of rooms painted in yellow and blue, with their roofs caved in, a single hospital room planted on top of a spiked mountain top, and a large expanse of pools ornamented with ancient Greek architecture. Eventually, after passing what had to be 15 other deceased levels, the drone stopped at an entrance archway, toppled forwards at a listed angle of around 15 degrees. While some of the letters were missing, the archway clearly read E. Turt Inl N. Jack Amspoker. Huh. Okay, fair enough. We found it. Penelope. And you were doubting us so much, too. Learn to live a little, pet. Can you ask the drone to give us a bird's eye view, David? David silently nodded, looking down at the on screen keyboard and typing a pretty basic instruction. Though it took a moment for the drone to move after he pressed enter, the drone's camera began to elevate and tilt forwards at the same time, displaying the full width and length of the former Level 32 Forest of the Skeleton Queen. Penelope. All right, so it's not in the best condition, but it has been dead for over 15 years. I'm really not sure what anybody was expecting. David Moss David. Is there another level on top of it? Penelope. Yes, there is. I don't think that mountain was there when the level was alive. Jack Amspoker. That mountain has also crushed an entire roller coaster. Penelope. Glad to see the optimist has a relevant quip. Wait, why are you still here? Jack Amspoker. I work here? Penelope. Not at this very second. You're not paid to be miserable, you know. Go do something productive elsewhere. So, something interesting has come up. I'm about to leave level 11, the city that never sleeps, to spend another night at Esther's, which, given what she suggested, it should be a fun night. But I noticed something interesting from the Bloggroom's members' emails. The monthly plans for the MEOD have been delayed by 5 days, which, to my knowledge, hasn't ever happened since the Bloggrooms began. I don't mean to get all conspiratorial and hopeful, but perhaps somewhere there's some work going on with level 32. Maybe it's a little worrying that they would need to delay with that, but hey, if it ends up being on their monthly roundup, I'll overlook that worry. Anyways, I have literally nothing else to write because the day's not actually over yet. I'm just happy I get to spend almost repeated nights at Esther's. At this rate, I may as well move in. Considering the work I've done and the work I've got to do, I think I deserve that at the very least. 04/05/37. Begin recording at 4:27 a.m. Date 04/05/37. Location Bottomless Blue. No data currently available. Participants Penelope, Remote Control Room Operator. Jack Amspoker, On Site Investigator. Jack Amspoker, this suit smells like ass, Penelope. Penelope, have you really not learned your lesson with complaining? Jack Amspoker, no. Penelope, oh well, suit yourself, or don't, you know. Next time you won't wear any protection at all, and then you can really complain. Jack Amspoker, whatever, point me to the direction to go. Penelope, alrighty, alrighty, 25 degrees to your left, Jacko. Entertainland will be visible in about 10 minutes. Jack Amspoker, great. Jack Amspoker took out a digital compass from his black hazmat suit's pocket, impatiently staring at it during its calibration. When it was fully operational, he began to turn on his heel, and when he had turned the right amount in the right direction, he set off. He passed through the remainder of the dead level he had previously been trudging through, reaching the end of a singular corridor that was angled down a slope and listed 90 degrees. Taking large strides over the empty spaces doors used to reside, he reached the end of the corridor and exited back into the deep blue sky of the bottomless blue, his feet planting firmly on solid ground. Penelope, you sound pretty disappointed about that. I figured you'd be excited to see a physical monument to show how wrong you were about this project. Jack Amspoker. Well, surprisingly, no, I'm not. Jack Amspoker continued to walk, passing between the trees that were a random mix between intact, tilted, and completely uprooted. After venturing for long enough, he found the mostly intact ruins of a house. Although the home itself had little structural damage, besides a few shattered windows and glimpses of upturned furniture inside, a wooden shed grafted directly to the side of it had collapsed to form a ramp. Jack used this to his advantage and climbed up to an intact shred of the shack's roof, using that to reach the main house's roof and lift himself up onto it to look out to the distance. Jack Amspoker. The trees are blocking my view, slightly, but I think I see it. I see the mountain that's crushed one of the attractions, at least. Penelope. Good. That means you're close. Hop off that house and keep going. You're still facing the right way. Jack made his way down, following the same path it took for him to reach the roof in the first place. He passed by the house, as well as many others, looking around idly before then taking a step on the pavement of a road towards the level's perimeter. Suddenly, the plastic screen in his hazmat suit flashed up a warning in the form of a big, flashing exclamation mark, and the caption to the side reading, Hazard detected, and Trigger activated, underneath. Jack Amspoker. Oops. Shit, what function did I just activate? Penelope. Let's see, oh, wow, you're a real unlucky fella. When this level was functioning, walking on the roads in the level's perimeter would no-clip you back to the middle. Jack Amspoker. Weird. And what does it do now that it's broken? Penelope. It would have torn you in half. Aren't you glad you have the suit, huh? Jack Amspoker. You know, I don't actually care what it does anymore. The least you could do is wash this thing once in a while. Jack carefully lifted his foot off the pavement. Once he was sure he was safe, he resumed his walking of the level graveyard. He passed through a myriad of other levels, from a murky grayscale desert to a ruined replica of the Titanic sitting in a shallow pool of water. and finally to curved ceilings for indoor swimming pools, and took approximately 8 minutes and 6 activations of his hazmat suit's defenses to reach his destination. He had to climb a short pile of bicycles from a decrepit bike store level, but he had finally reached the forward listing front archway for the previous level 32, Forest of the Skeleton Queen. He looked up at it, taking a moment to stop and catch his breath. Penelope, you admiring the sign or something? Jack Amspoker. I'm getting my strength back. That wasn't exactly an easy climb. Penelope. It didn't look like it, no. Oh well. Do you remember what you've got to do? As Penelope spoke, Jack Amspoker stretched his arms and his back at the same time. He began to walk slowly into the bulk of the dead level 32, passing underneath the sign. Jack Amspoker. Just a normal survey, right? The same as we do for any other level? Penelope. Yep, just focus on all the stuff that damaged through. Alright? We need to know what we can salvage. Jack Amspoker. How often do you want pictures? Penelope. Whatever's relevant. Assessing further relevancy. Potential for brevity. Brevity assessed. Summarizing further events. Display findings. No image caption available. Jack Amspoker. Found the ticket booth. I assume that infoman guy would have worked here. Penelope. Yeah, probably. Unfortunately, though, it doesn't look too salvageable. I assume people have been in there since the level's death. Jack Amspoker. Because of the graffiti? Yeah, I assume some groups are nearby. I ain't touching them. Penelope. Good. Those humans are really fucking strange. You gonna keep looking around? Jack Amspoker. That is literally the job you've given me, Penelope. No image caption available. Penelope. You know, this area is looking in much better condition. Is this the courtyard? Jack Amspoker. Yeah, I got the image as I was about to head deeper. Besides some vandalism from bottom tribes, it looks fine. Penelope. Of course it does. I've been telling you the level is salvageable. Jack Amspoker. You mean like how the ticket booth was? Penelope. Oh, shush. No image caption available. Jack Amspoker. Unsurprisingly, I don't trust this. No image caption available. Jack Amspoker. The main area for Entertainland is in okay condition, but I think the impact with the floor destroyed a lot of the smaller decorations. Some have shattered into pieces. Penelope. And what about the rides? Jack Amspoker. Oh, they seem fine. I wouldn't trust them to work, or even stay up if you tried to walk on them, but none have collapsed. Penelope. Good. This may be an incredibly easy renovation. I'm greatly enjoying that you're the one uncovering this, you know. Jack Amspoker. Yeah, yeah, I bet you are. Don't get your hopes too high. There's still all this new vegetation, and the mountain that's crushed some of the rides. Penelope. Oh, obviously. I didn't say it'd be a complete cakewalk, now did I? Although you do raise a good point. Where is that vegetation coming from? I thought level 32, Forest of the Skeleton Queen, was on a bed of sand originally. Jack Amspoker. Yep, it was. I have no idea on where it's come from, though. Penelope. Ooh, do tell. Jack Amspoker. No need. I'll just show you. No image caption available. Penelope. Okay, in hindsight, it was a little bit obvious. Jack Amspoker. And you didn't guess at any point. I am impressed at how hard the idea went over your head. Penelope. Okay, okay, I get it. Stop rubbing it in. How much of the level has this mountain crushed? Jack Amspoker. Not too much, but the damage is about as bad as it looked from above. I think we lost that one famous ride the place was kinda known for. Penelope. Aw, shit. That sucks. We can rebuild it. It's not a huge setback. Jack Amspoker. Penelope, the entire thing has been crushed. Penelope. I'll find a way. No image caption available. Jack Amspoker. So, yeah, as I was saying, the closer to the mountain you get, the more vegetation there is. I have to assume it grew from whatever level that used to be and into 32. Penelope. I'm sure we could just torch all the vegetation when we pull the level out of the dump and breathe life back into it. Jack Amspoker. Do we even know how we're doing that yet? Penelope. I've got a few ideas, yeah. I'll pass them around when this exploration is over. Jack Amspoker. Speaking of, how much longer do I have to be here exactly? I feel like we have a pretty good grasp on the ruins by now. Penelope. You really just want to get back, don't you? Jack Amspoker. Of course I do. The suit in this place sucks. Penelope. Aw, and here I thought you were getting to like Entertainland. Jack Amspoker. Shut up. I mean the bottomless blue. It's depressing being surrounded by all these dead levels. I'd rather be literally anywhere else. Penelope. I'm only teasing, Jackie boy. Don't freak out so much. Do a final once over and collect some more pictures and notes and stuff. Then head back so we can pick you up. Jack Amspoker. Finally. Heard. No image caption available. No image caption available. No image caption available. Jack Amspoker. So there's a lot of vegetation here. Way more than expected, I bet. Still think it's salvageable? Penelope. We could still torch it, use reality fresheners, or those fun new tools the MEOD gave us instead. We have options, Jacko, more than we ever have. Jack Amspoker. I'm pretty sure most of those would wreck the attractions more than they already are. Penelope. If we break any, we can just rebuild them. Jack Amspoker. Penelope, most of this level will already be repaired or replaced at that point. We may as well just remake it from scratch and save ourselves the effort. Penelope. I. Okay, sure, you have a point. What do you suggest then? Jack Amspoker. If I have to suggest anything, then we should use them to our advantage. The level's been gone for over a decade, and when it did die, no one used it too much. We can take some creative liberties with its revival. Penelope. Ah, clever. That saves us a lot of work, too. You sound like you're actually trying to make it work now. Jack Amspoker. I'm buttering you up so you pick me up sooner rather than later. Penelope. Well, it certainly worked. Get a final few images of as much as you can, and then you can leave. I think this is a job well done. Jack Amspoker. Thank God, finally. I'll tell you when I've left Entertainland. No image caption available. No image caption available. No image caption available. Jack Amspoker. Well, I think I've got just about every picture I could ever want of this place. I'm leaving. Activity detected. Monitoring activated. Specialist camera BR2-4 active. Specialized mic BR2-4 active. Real-time AI transcript active. Begin recording at 8:37 a.m. Date 04/05/37. Location Apartment Zimmels, first floor, apartment 4, level 11, the city that never sleeps. Involved individuals Esther Hanks, Magnus Grand. In what was still considered to be the early hours of level 11's quote unquote morning, while the rest of apartment Zimmels had either left or were in the process of leaving for their Monday jobs, both Esther Hanks and Magnus Grand were asleep. They were sharing a bed, and despite the fact it was a single, they were in slumber at opposite ends. Magnus had most of the covers, but Esther still had enough to cover herself and keep warm. She was, however, the first one to begin stirring. Lazily, Esther's face scrunched and pushed into the pillow, her faint snoring ending abruptly as her eyes opened to look from point to point across her room, and then to both her and Magnus's clothes strewn across the floor. With a tired grumble, she fully sat up, shutting her eye closest to the window to keep the light out of it. As Esther groaned and disturbed the blankets, Magnus began to wake up, twisting from facing away from Esther to laying on his back, while his eyes slowly opened to look at her. Magnus Grand. Oh, wow, that's a sight. You're awake? Esther Hanks. Yeah, I'm awake. My head is throbbing like crazy, though. How much did we drink? Magnus Grand. A lot, from what I remember. Parts of the night are kind of fuzzy, but I remember other bits. Esther Hanks chuckled weakly, looking across Magnus with an unsure expression as he kicked off his covers and sat up in the bed. She slowly got out of bed and onto her feet, putting on some essential pieces of clothing and tying a dressing gown around herself afterwards. Magnus Grand. Hey, do you mind passing me something to put on too? Esther Hanks. Oh, yeah, sorry. Look, about last night, Esther's words trailed off, doing a small twist on her heel and picking up the pair of basic shorts that Magnus was wearing the night before. She handed him the clothing, to which he thanked Esther and slid them on. Magnus Grand. What about it? Did you not like it or something? Esther Hanks. No, no. It was nice. I just don't know what it makes us. Please don't take this the wrong way, but I never ever saw us doing something like what we did. Magnus Grand. That's okay. I already knew that, and I don't think anyone has ever seen me in that way before, anyway. Esther Hanks. Don't put yourself down like that. Look, I liked it, but I was also drunk. Both of us were. If this continues, I want to take it slow. Magnus Grand. Well, why wouldn't it continue? Esther Hanks. In case either of us get cold feet, or in case you stop coming over. Especially after what I just said. I probably came off as cruel. Magnus Grand. No, you were honest. I like that in a woman. Besides, I can take a blow to my ego at least once in a while. Esther Hanks snickered at Magnus's comment, going to her bedside table and taking her phone off of the charging pad. She sat on the side of the bed and scrolled it while Magnus came to sit next to her, looking at what she was scrolling through. Esther Hanks. Fuck. We both slept through my alarms. How much sleep did we even get? Magnus Grand. I. I don't know, but probably not a lot. We watched a lot of films before we even got into bed, yet alone before we went to sleep. You also seem to have a few messages from your sister you missed. Esther Hanks. Oh. Oh no. Magnus Grand. What's wrong? Esther Hanks. It's the 4th! I'm supposed to be in 13.1, no data currently available, to give a big talk. It's the anniversary of the 13.1 incident, and shit, I'm gonna have to talk about my mom again. Magnus Grand. When do you have to be there? Esther Hanks. Not until midday, but I was really hoping to do a bit of cleaning and essential shopping before I left. It's not your fault, by the way. I'm not blaming you. Magnus Grand. I assume you'll want to get a shower before you leave, too? Esther Hanks. Yeah, I will. I'll have to order food in again, won't I? I guess I have the money for it. Magnus Grand. You shouldn't have to. Look, I don't have anything going on today. Let me do your cleaning and shopping for you. Just get me a list before you leave. Esther Hanks. Are you sure? Magnus Grand. I'm not saying it for shits and giggles. Esther Hanks. Then, thank you. I'm gonna get the shower now before I put off doing it too much, and I'll get you a list when I'm out. Hastily, Esther got to her feet once more, going to her wardrobe and taking out some smart casual clothes, which she draped over her arm. Before leaving the room, she turned to Magnus, opting to give him a soft but caring hug, which he chose to reciprocate a little tighter. After, Esther waved him off and left the room, leaving Magnus to begin redressing properly. Evaluating conversation tracking procedures. Potential activation of specialized camera BR2 2-4. Specialized mic BR2 2-4. Real time AI transcript. Evaluation of conversation tracking procedures concluded. Potential activation of specialized camera BR2 2-4. Specialized mic BR2 2-4. Real time AI transcript. Denied. 08/05/37. Begin recording at 7:20 p.m. Date 08/05/37. Location: the control center. No data currently available. Main terminal. Participants: Penelope, Jack Amspoker, David Moss David. Penelope: gentle with it. Jack Amspoker: I'm being as gentle with it as I can. Penelope: you better be. This has been specially made for us, and if we fuck this up, Jack Amspoker. Yeah. We slice Entertainland in half and fuck this up forever. You've said it so much I'm going to remember it until I die. Penelope. Good. That means you'll do this right. Go for a wide reach with it. Ideally, we want to grab some bits of the level that surround it, so we have more to sculpt with. Jack Amspoker. Let me dilate it then. Jack moved his attention back to the controls below his hands, watching the small screen above the twin joysticks and a set of buttons between them. He keyed in a command on the button board, and then gently pushed the left joystick to the northeast, watching as the 3D diagram of a cube without a top and bottom gradually got wider. Jack Amspoker. Do you think that's a good enough width? It's 230 meters in height and 270 in width. I'm gonna try and steal most of the mountain in our grab. Penelope. That should do. Yeah. David, is the claw ready? David Moss David. It seems to be. I'm not fully sure. I'm not used to calibrating something on this scale. Jack Amspoker. Then, if this fucks up, it would make it your fault instead of mine. I'm ready with the measurements and timings once we move it in location, which is your job. David Moss David. I get the idea. Just give me a moment to recheck everything. David sighed to himself, scooting his chair forwards. and looking intently at the readouts and dial configurations he had established for today's operations. He took about a minute to ensure everything was correct, while making minute adjustments, which Penelope waited for far more patiently than Jack did. Once he was done, he sat back in his chair and looked at the other two. David Moss David. It's calibrated, and I've even moved it into position. Jack Amspoker. You've definitely got it in the right spot? David Moss David. Yes, obviously. This is as much my job as it is yours. I'm doing this professionally. Can you give me the go ahead, Penelope? Penelope. Oh, gladly. I've been waiting for this for days. Penelope walked closer, nudging Jack and his chair out of the way to make room for her many legs. She typed in a command on the keyboard in front of her before pressing enter, grinning widely as she watched the thin pane of glass slide down from the ceiling with a projected image of the bottomless blue on it. It was another bird's eye view of the former Level 32, Forest of the Skeleton Queen, but now with a noticeable square shadow over the top, with what looked like four spikes protruding from each side. Penelope. Wait for it. Jack Amspoker. This better not fuck up. With the tense air in the room, the trio watched as the shadow that loomed above level 32 got wider, while the spikes on said shadow expanded outwards. The origin of it came into view, resembling a perfect cube of office rooms, complete with windows and hallways that led straight out into the blue void. Attached to the underneath looked to be a gigantic industrial grabbing claw made of a great quantity of telescopic components. Each claw arm was made of 5 different parts that articulated on hinges, widening out further before stopping as the tips of each one got close to touching the ground. Penelope. The claw arms look like they're in good alignment? Jack Amspoker. And at good measurements, too. Penelope. Yeah, we get it. You helped. If you're so happy with your work, get ready to retract the claw and to safely take level 32 upwards. Jack Amspoker rolled his eyes with a grumble, paying close attention as the tips of the grabbing claw touched down on the surface of the bottomless blue and began to penetrate into it. They tore through the ground, severing the former mountain level in two and destroying a great chunk of the bike shop level that was in front of level 32's entrance. Once the claw and the level that was piloting it settled, Jack Amspoker sighed and began sending further commands to the device. The area that the claw arms were circling around began to shift upwards, and when claws were fully encapsulating the underside of Entertainland, the chunk of office rooms began to slowly float upwards. With a few shifts and course corrections as it ascended, the claw had successfully elevated the entirety of the old level 32 off of the bottomless blue's floor, revealing the crushed remains of a level made up of yellow hallways underneath. David Moss David. Holy shit, that actually worked! Penelope. Of course it did. We've had days to plan this out. Why wouldn't it have worked? Jack Amspoker. Because just about every step of this has gone well so far. It's bound to fuck up eventually. Penelope. Oh, shut up, you spoil sport. It's late. Let's get this thing stationed somewhere, and we can venture to it in the morning. Magenta. You doing all right, Esther? Sorry, I've not been around much the past few days. How was the stuff at level 13.1? No data currently available. Was it busy? Pink. It was worse than busy, but it's okay. I imagine you went straight home after doing the cleaning and shopping? Magenta. Yeah, sorry, my bad. I should have let you know, but I was sorta dead set on getting to work. Pink, I understand. I gotta admit, it feels weird with you not being here now. I sort of got used to it. Magenta, I mean, we can just move in together. That's normal. Pink, I don't know about that just yet. I'm already unsure of what we are after what happened the other day. I don't know if I'm ready to share a place with anyone at all. Magenta, we don't have to be dating to share an apartment. Pink. If the apartment only has one bedroom, we kind of do. I don't mean to make it seem like I'm leading you on or anything, but obviously things aren't great for me. Frankly, they feel worse after going to 13.1. Magenta. Really? Why would that be? Pink. I really thought I was over my mom, Magnus. I really tried to be brave when I gave my speech and met all the important people that were there. It doesn't help that I was being treated like both a show pony and some lazy second option for a guest at the same time. It's pretty clear they all wished Somalia was there, but they settled with me. They just had to make some big deal about Somalia adopting me during the incident and whatever. Leyland was the worst with it. People are right about him. Are you there, Magnus? Magenta. Yeah, sorry, just listening to you. Sorry about all that. Pink. Yeah. It'll hopefully be in a better state tomorrow. Maybe we can meet somewhere in public instead of coming to my dumb old house. Magenta. I'd like that. Where would you want to go? Pink. I've always wanted to go to level 304. Las Panaderias, honestly. We can get something to eat. You can stop at mine overnight if the path back to 209, Old Chippy, is too long. Magenta. That sounds like a date. Is it one? Pink. It's not meant to be. I know it sounds like one, but I just want to go somewhere new and get my mind off of shit again. I guess we could try it, though. I don't think I'm ready for public affection, but we can at least call it a date, maybe. Magenta. I think that sounds fun. I'll find something nice to wear. Pink. Then I suppose I will too. See ya then. 09/05/37. Begin recording at 10:44 a.m. Date 09/05/37. Location: the control center. No data currently available. Main terminal: PA 341. Participants: Penelope, Jack Amspoker, David Moss David. Jack Amspoker. And here I thought I was out of the suit. Penelope. Do you really think I'd pass up an opportunity to see you in it again? Shit's funny. Jack Amspoker. I'm a good field operator. I don't need a suit for this. Penelope. Yeah, why not? I'll believe that. David Moss David. Could you raise your arm, Jack? Jack grumbled, glaring at Penelope with a neutral scowl as he raised up his right arm, allowing David to finish putting on the hazmat suit for him. Once David was finished, he smiled and patted Jack's shoulder, recoiling with an awkward chuckle towards Penelope when Jack growled at him. Penelope. Well then, you little feral thing, let me make a puncture, and we'll get you to whatever the higher-ups are calling Entertainland right now. David Moss David. I think it's PA 341 or something. Penelope. Yes, probably. I don't know. I don't care. We just called shit whatever we wanted once upon a time. Jack Amspoker. Can you just puncture a hole in level 32, Forest of the Skeleton Queen, already? Penelope. All right. Penelope's words trailed off, looking around the room silently with slightly pursed lips. Jack scowled at her while crossing his arms. David looked on between the two confusedly. After 10 seconds had passed, Penelope decided to stop teasing Jack and turned to face the control board. She keyed in a few prompts, causing a klaxon to blare while industrial metal shutters closed over the exits into further parts of the control room. Once the trio were locked inside the main terminal room, the familiar transparent pane of glass began to descend in front of them. Instead of displaying a projection of another monitor or a drone's POV, however, the material of the plane began to ripple as Penelope continued to type, pull levers, and dial knobs. David Moss David. Where did we even put PA 341 anyways, Pen? Penelope. Huh? Oh, a good few megameters above the bottomless blue, I think. There's no records of where Entertainland used to be, not even the corpus cores. Note, see the enigmatic level, the middle sorts. New. Jack Amspoker. How the fuck are we keeping it in the static orbit then? David Moss David. Yeah, same question, actually. We don't fully understand how levels keep their static orbits. Are we just winging it? Jack Amspoker. Why didn't we use the claw to keep it in place? Penelope. Because I generated some temporary void stone instead. It's done the trick. Jack Amspoker. Static orbits negate what we know about void stone. Penelope. Yeah, well, whatever. It's working. Hopefully, level evolution will kick in and the backrooms will just turn it into a level of its own. Like how you lather a lamb in another sheep's juices so it thinks the lamb is its child. Jack Amspoker. Fucking gross, Penelope. Why do you know that? Penelope. I used to watch a lot of old television. Anywho, you have a job to do. Penelope looked forwards at the still shimmering and warped pane ahead of them, her smirk widening as it took on a definitive shape. As the glass darkened into a brown/black hue, the insides of it formed an arched doorway, hollowing out in the middle as the opening touched the ground. When the inside was empty, instead of looking out to the servers and the rest of the control room, the new doorway opened to a slightly orangey white sky, with two long yet low-relief concrete structures flanking both sides of the door in the foreground. Jack Amspoker. Is the puncture complete? It's not going to rip me in half, right? Penelope. As much as I'd enjoy that, no, it won't. I'm good at my job. On the other side of that door is level 32, Forest of the Skeleton Queen, or Entertainland, David Moss David, or PA 341, Penelope. Meh, it can have a lot of names. It's a progressive time. Jack Amspoker. Whatever, dude. I'm going through. Penelope. Hey, we haven't mic checked you. Jack Amspoker. Good. I hope its batteries are flat. Jack cackled to himself at his own joke, passing through the doorway and into PA 341. He sighed and stretched his limbs once he was outdoors, even if his full bodysuit prevented him from feeling the soft blowing of wind and the smell of surprisingly natural air. Penelope. Hello? Do you hear me? Jack winced, his speaker that relayed communication back to the control room emitting a loud shriek of white noise before Penelope's voice crackled in. With a groan, Jack lowered his arms and replied. Jack Amspoker. Yeah, loud and clear, Penelope. Penelope. Good. So, is it successful? I assume you're still alive, right? Jack Amspoker. You blew out the mic and killed my ears, so as much as I wish I was dead right now, I'm not. Did you make a fucking skybox for this place? Penelope. Skybox, wind generation. Give me a few days and I'll get some birds and insects and rodents about the place. Jack Amspoker. Yeah, maybe don't. This place isn't actually stable yet. Penelope. Sure, but it's getting there. And that is why you're in the level. Get a look around, will you? See if anything's been disturbed since we uplifted the place yesterday. Jack Amspoker. I know, you don't have to remind me. I'll be your little gopher. Penelope. Ta, babes. Jack Amspoker. Gross. Don't call me that. Assessing further relevancy. Potential for brevity. Brevity assessed. Summarizing further events. No image caption available. No image caption available. No image caption available. No image caption available. Jack Amspoker. So, what do you think? Penelope. Honestly, I think this couldn't have gone any better. Excellent. Come on, admit that this has been a good project. You've had fun. Jack Amspoker. Yeah, shut up. I'll admit it was a good project if you admit it was worth delaying the MEOD monthly news update for. Penelope. Oh, dude, it totally was. It's been fun watching those humans flounder with their schedules. Jack Amspoker. That is true, I'll grant you. Alright, fine. It was a fun project. We should probably send our findings to the relevant divisions, though. Their monthly news has to be out today. Penelope. Yeah, I know. Since when did you care about when their shift comes out? Jack Amspoker. I care when it inconveniences you, Penelope. Penelope. Ah, right. Come back to the gate and we'll pull you out. After today, we've got a lot of work to do on Entertainland, or whatever it ends up being called. Suspicious activity archived. View below. Begin recording at 6:11 p.m. Date 09/05/37. Location Level 304, Las Panaderias. Habitable Panaderias 15, Table 8. Person/people of note Esther Hanks, Magnus Grand, Tilly Waite. Both Esther and Magnus had been eating for a long while now, exchanging some basic conversation back and forth that stopped and started intermittently and switched subjects with each awkward pause. The table they were sat at was, at least, in the corner of the safe panaderias their waitress had directed them to, meaning no one else could see the awkwardness. As previously discussed between the two of them, they had dressed up a little for the occasion, with Magnus having fit himself with a smart shirt and tight waistcoat that had complemented a tailored pair of trousers and basic but shiny leather shoes. Esther, by coincidence, had matched his outfit, wearing a more frilly blouse with a high collar, an equally tight waistcoat with a jacket, and a long skirt. Esther was slightly picking at her empanada and salad with her fork as she looked up to Magnus, who smiled at her and was seemingly unaware of her awkwardness. Esther sat up, raising her hand politely as another waitress passed by their table on her way to serve a different group. Magnus Grand. Are you okay? Esther Hanks. Yeah, just gonna ask for some more water. I'm not asking for the bill or anything. Don't worry. Magnus Grand. I didn't think you were. Esther Hanks. Right. Tilly, wait. What can I get you? Immediately moving her attention away from less awkward topics, Esther turned her head and faced the waitress she had flagged down, who had only just arrived at the pair's table. She had a tablet in her hand and kept on a neutral, professional smile as she waited for Esther's response. Esther Hanks. Just a water, please. I wasn't expecting these things to be quite as spicy as they are. Do you want anything extra, Magnus? How's your paella? Magnus Grand. Oh, it's fine. Not really spicy either. I don't need anything. Tilly, wait. So just one water? Esther Hanks. Please. Yeah. Tilly looked between the two as Esther gave a sustained look back, the latter putting on an awkward smile. Tilly hummed under her breath, but slowly stepped backwards and left a few moments after to get Esther's basic order fulfilled. Magnus Grand. You all right? Esther Hanks. Yeah, I just said I was. Magnus Grand. I'm just making sure. You have been distant. Is there something on your mind? Esther Hanks. I went over this earlier, didn't I? Esther's words became a little more mumbled as she shot Magnus an awkward expression, slouching back into her wooden chair. Magnus Grand. Oh, your mom in 13.1, no data currently available. Of course. Esther Hanks. You're talking like you forgot about it. Magnus Grant. No, no, of course not. It's just you were doing well with moving on from your mother, and the MEOD were out of your face for ages. I figured things were fine. Esther Hanks. Things were never fine. I don't blame you if you didn't notice, but it still hurts like hell without my mom. There's a whole bunch of little ways she used to be in my life, and now those are gone. My dad's still out of the picture, too. He's refusing to even pick up the phone after he missed her passing. Note, sea level 185, the next train to depart from platform blank. Magnus Grand. Sounds like a lot. Esther Hanks. Wow, you don't say. Sorry, no, that was rude of me. I just want to I just want to know that you realize that this is tough for me. You do, don't you? Magnus Grand. Well, why do you think I don't? Esther Hanks. Because of how you've acted this entire date. I I've tried to open up, and it feels like you're not listening to me. Magnus Grand. I listen. Esther Hanks. It doesn't feel like it. You either have nothing to say or you Magnus Grand. Or I Esther Hanks. No, no, forget it. It's my fault. I I keep being mean to you, don't I? It keeps happening, and it's always when my mom comes up. Magnus Grant. No, you're not. Esther Hanks. I don't want you to lie to me. I know I do. I can tell whenever you stop talking to me. Magnus Grant. You don't mean it. I know you don't. I try to give you the space to heal and calm down on your own. Esther Hanks. It certainly does work. How come you agreed to do this then, Magnus? 13.1's, no data currently available, 13.1's anniversary is still on my mind. Every year it's going to roll around, and Leyland's gonna put me on some stage to recite about my mom for the rest of my life. I won't ever get a break. Magnus Grand. Hey, calm down. It's okay. You're in a tough spot. I I get it. I am here for you, and I'll help you get over what happened. At the very least, I'll be there to try. Seeming unsure, Esther hummed under her breath, watching as Magnus outstretched his hand invitingly across the table to her. She looked at him in the eyes, catching what looked, to her, like a welcoming smile. She smiled back, taking a moment to wipe one of her eyes before taking his hand, his fingers wrapped comfortably, yet tightly around hers, which she reciprocated, albeit not as tight. As they held hands, the waitress the pair had flagged returned with Esther's water, clearing her throat awkwardly. Tilly wait. Madam, I have your water. Esther Hanks. Oh, thanks. Esther let go of Magnus's hand abruptly, using it to take the water from the waitress's wide, black tray and setting it down on the table next to her plate. Tilly watched the two worriedly, having a small and cautious frown on her face, before resorting back to a more neutral look and professional tone of voice. Tilly wait. Do you two need anything else? Esther Hanks. Magnus? Esther moved her attention over to Magnus, who, in the short time between Tilly showing up and now, had quickly hopped on their phone to scroll something with an intense look on his face. Esther Hanks. I don't think we need anything else. Thanks, though. Tilly nodded politely, moving the tray away from the palm of her hand to hold it against her chest, leaving in a small scuttle afterwards to tend to another table. Once the two were alone again, Esther looked back to Magnus, trying not to get frustrated with him. Esther Hanks. Is there something important happening on your phone, or Magnus Grand? Oh, yeah, actually, there is. The MEOD just published their monthly plans. I'm reading through it. Esther Hanks. You subscribed to that newsletter? Wait, it's the 9th. Shouldn't it already be out? Magnus Grand. Oh, it got delayed by almost a week. They never said why, but I feel like the email will explain. Esther Hanks. And you're reading it mid-date? Magnus Grand. Well, if it's what I think it is, it'll make the date better. Esther Hanks. How? Wait, how on multiple levels? How does a group email make this date better? Magnus Grand. Because. Hang on, I'm just going through the headings. Esther Hanks. Oh no, by all means, do take your time. Esther Hanks crossed her arms, watching Magnus in his sudden fixation with scrolling through his phone. She kept her mood neutral, deciding to look out at the wider room and idly glance at the other people eating, some of which were unmistakably happy couples. Midway through watching two men share a crumble together, Esther was pulled back to the diner by Magnus. Magnus Grand. Oh, they're actually doing it. Esther Hanks. Doing what? Magnus Grand. Oh, this is perfect. So, do you remember when we found that document on the old level 32, Forest of the Skeleton Queen, for a laugh, right before your life went to shit? Esther Hanks. My life already wasn't great, but go on. Magnus Grand. Well, according to this, it's being revived. Esther Hanks. Wait, what? How? Why? Magnus Grand. I guess it's just something they can do now that the BRC are part of us. They don't elaborate much on the why, unfortunately, other than they're inspired off of the Blogroom series on dead levels that they've got going on. Esther Hanks. Okay. How does that make this better, though? Magnus Grand. Is it not obvious? We could have a date at level 32, Forest of the Skeleton Queen, or whatever they call it. It's still PA 34-1 in this? Esther Hanks. That's actually not a bad idea. It's sorta nice that this news came out so soon after we talked about it together. Magnus Grand. Yeah, actually. Now you mention it, it is a big coincidence. Maybe the universe is just doing you a favor, trying to give you something nice back. Esther Hanks. It's not much of one. It's not the level I remember most from my childhood or anything. But it'd be nice. Magnus Grand. It'd take you back to a simpler time. Esther Hanks. Yeah, it would. You make a good point. Magnus Grand. Of course I do. I mean, it'll probably take months to finish renovating PA whatever. I can't imagine it's in a good state after being dead for over a decade. But when it's open to the public, do you want to go to it? As a date? Esther Hanks. It's a long distance between our first and second date. Magnus Grand. We can go on other ones in the meantime, maybe to 890, over protection, to get a feel for what it'll be like. Esther Hanks. Do you want to, even with how cranky I've been for most of this diner? Magnus Grand. You're going through tough stuff. I get why you're acting out of character. It's teething troubles. I'll find a way through for you. New page write-up available. The Backrooms. You've been here before. Level 320. The new and improved Entertainland. Activity detected. Monitoring activated. Specialist camera BR2-4 active. Specialized mic BR2-4 active. Real-time AI transcript active. Begin recording at 7 o'clock a.m. Date 27/07/37. Location Apartment Zimmels, first floor, apartment 4, level 11, the city that never sleeps. Involved individuals Esther Hanks, Magnus Grand. Early into the day, and bang on 7 o'clock a.m., Magnus Grand's smartwatch gave a series of diminutive vibrations and gentle shockwaves of electricity from underneath its clock face, doing so through the metal underside, conducting the discharged power into his wrist. With a shuffle, he woke up and hugged the still sleeping Esther Hanks closer to himself, pressing his palms softly into her skin. His eyes opened slowly, looking over his partner's shoulder to watch her sleep soundly, barely stirring or moving beyond an idle and quiet snore. He stayed hugged against Esther for a good few minutes, keeping her embraced in their spoon underneath the covers, until he received another buzz from his new watch, the rhythm of vibrations, that being one elongated resonance, indicating it was a calendar alert. Slowly, he moved his hand off of Esther's body and checked the digital clock face, which transitioned to the notification once it met his eyes. Not intending to disturb Esther, Magnus slowly shuffled out from the covers, stepping over Esther to do so, Once on the carpet, he dressed himself Spartanly, slid his feet into slippers, and put on his dressing gown, which was hung next to Esther's on the door. Once he had more modesty, he went to sit at the bedside and gently began to shake Esther awake. Magnus Grand. Hey, come on. Let's wake up, eh? Esther Hanks. In in a minute. I'm not much of a morning person. Magnus Grand. You keep saying, but today's important, remember? We've got a group to walk with. Esther Hanks. We do? Magnus Grand. Yeah, we've only been planning this for like 2 months now. Esther Hanks. Shit! Right. 320. God, how did I forget? Magnus Grand. 'Cause you're sleepy, and that's bound to happen. Esther Hanks. Heh, good point. Esther grumbled, wiping her mouth with the back of her hand and slowly shuffling to sit up, the covers shifting off of her front and draping only over her back in the process. Once she was sat, Magnus's eyes trailed downward, which seemed to make Esther momentarily uncomfortable, but not enough to catch her off guard. Esther Hanks, do you mind passing me my dressing gown? Magnus Grand, can you not get it? Esther Hanks, still sleepy. Need a moment or two still. Magnus Grand, suit yourself. Magnus shrugged jovially with a carefree expression, getting off of the bed as Esther crossed her arms over her chest and hunched forward. She watched as Magnus idly took the dressing gown off the wall hook and felt the fluffy fabric in his fingers before walking back to Esther, offering it to her with an outstretched hand. Esther Hanks. Oh, thanks. Is it okay if you make us both a coffee? I'll make one tomorrow, I promise. Magnus Grand. You always change what you want in your coffee. I can never remember what you like. I'd rather make it with you. Esther Hinks. Oh, right, right. Esther's eyes seemed to widen momentarily at Magnus's comment, causing her to gulp and rub her elbow, breaking eye contact with Magnus. Esther got up onto her feet as well, hastily throwing the gown onto herself and tying it high up her waist, with Magnus conversely not breaking line of sight from her once. Magnus Grand. There we go. Not too hard, eh? Esther Hinks. No, I suppose not. Sorry for being bossy. Magnus Grand. Nah, you weren't bossy, just groggy. There's a difference. Esther watched with still tired eyes as Magnus walked to their bedroom door, opening it up and keeping it propped in place with the end of his foot. Esther shuffled towards him, putting her own slippers on in the process, and stopping in front of him. She looked across his face with deep thought before going onto her toes and gently kissing his cheek, to which Magnus chuckled and patted her hip, guiding her into the main room afterwards. Level 320, Entertainland. Welcome to the MEOD's reformatted private internet service. Despite old events, the MEOD holds the data of its residents with utmost care, even in spite of alleged data breaches of its residents. We at the MEOD ensure conversations, written documents, and private messages are not kept long term within the MEOD's immediate archives, and are instead deleted after the appropriate time has passed. We greatly apologize for internal lapses in judgment, and we are doing all we can to keep the family of the MEOD whole during these trying times. MEOD, acting as one on the behalf of many. 2023 to 2037 reformatted general public database. Survival difficulty. Class inhabited. Safe, sustained economy, no harmful entities. Image caption. The front gates of level 320 that all guests have to pass through. Description. Level 320, colloquially regarded as Entertainland and originally known as Level 32, Forest of the Skeleton Queen, is an amusement park measuring approximately 200 meters across in the four main directions, not accounting for the landmarks and visible features outside of the venue due to the level's unique history. It was a level that had originally expired in its life cycle in late 2021, but was recently revived due to a recent interest in the old venue and a desire to expand the scope of what the MEOD's Renovations Division and Vacation Division are capable of. A majority of Level 320 is split up into sections, many of which have been tailored with specific anomalous effects. However, Level 320 does have a few synchronous level-wide properties. The main coincident feature across Level 320 is its climate and day-night cycle. As Level 320's vegetation has intentionally been manipulated to be as Earth-like as possible, they require a regular circadian rhythm to keep alive. To ensure maximum guest comfort, however, the rain and the amount of rainfall is scheduled to occur only during closing time. Footnote: Level 320 is currently programmed to receive 1,000 mm of rainfall annually. End footnote. Seasons are also prevalent in level 320 and follow the Northern Hemisphere's seasonal patterns. The entrance of level 320 takes the form of both an empty car park as well as a large plaza area with long lines of turnstiles to access the portion of level 320 with the attractions, as it is currently anticipated that level 320 will have a high quantity of guests. Footnote: as similar remodeling ventures with level 608, the trove of their hobby, level 890, overprotection, and level 906, the Cygnus archive, have all had incredibly high turnouts. End footnote. There are both a myriad of benches, artificial and natural places for shade, and pop up stalls for individuals to get refreshments. To ensure a consistent flow and reduce overcrowding within the park, access to Entertainland itself is limited to prepaid bookings only. Either a cardboard or digital QR code is scanned at the display of any one of many turnstiles present in the main plaza to allow access, all of which are bought online. No in person staff are employed to police these front gates. However, a myriad of surveillance methods using the recently updated 2CO systems bring live surveillance and transcripts of any suspicious activity, and constant monitoring is done inside the park to ensure all guests have valid passes. In the event one does not, the in person staff that patrol the venue's pathways will deal with these misdemeanors accordingly. Once inside, the only paid for items are concessions and minute niceties, such as on ride photos, souvenirs and merchandise, restaurant meals, as well as drying and tanning services. Similar bookings to enter the park can also be made for a select handful of the items above. Entertainland. Entertainland, while also being the informal name for the entirety of Level 320, is in actuality only the name of the amusement park venue within it. It is, however, the largest section of Level 320, hence why it became the level's namesake. The venue is split up into a variety of areas, differentiated based off both genre, theming, and or ride intensity, much like many real amusement parks that Level 320 was modeled off of. Footnote: especially ones from the early 2010s, the era of which Entertainland was originally modeled off of during its first life. End footnote. Each zone of level 320 is primarily taken up by the attractions, as one would expect, but the zones are also themed with the minimal but aesthetically pleasing and appropriate decorations for the genre of the zone. In total, there are 7 zones, not counting the surplus locations outside Entertainland's perimeter, all of which can be read about in more detail on Entertainland's booking page and informational website. Alternatively, one can speak to any member of staff when at the venue itself. Main Plaza. Image caption: the top left corner of the main plaza. The road going left in this T intersection leads to the holiday homes. The quote unquote main plaza is the unofficial designation for the social area and high street just beyond Entertainland's entrance turnstiles. The south of the plaza is identical to the open areas south of the turnstiles, though there are fewer seats, more trees, and the pop up stalls have been replaced by actual structures for purchasing food and drink. Beyond this flat area, however, is a dense facsimile of an urban high street, with relevant modifications to make it both fit for a theme park and to be safer than a real street. Like other areas, the High Street Plaza has made use of non Euclidean geometry, seemingly in making the inside of shops larger than their exterior depth to allow the facade buildings to be compact enough to allow the other neighboring zones space to breathe. The road, the buildings, and the ambient speakers sport a more retro aesthetic in comparison to other zones, emulating a commercial pedestrian road from the 2010s with area specific fake brands that intend to be parodies of both front rooms companies and backrooms groups from that era to appease both no clipped and backborn park goers. Kiddie Zone. Image caption: a pathway and bridge within the northern area of the Kiddie Zone, with level 320's mountain visible beyond Entertainland's perimeter. The Kiddie Zone, being its official name, is one of the first themed zones of Entertainland, and is intentionally kept isolated from the other areas, as to give parents an easier time with their young, especially given that the rides present in this sector are designed for children 6 and younger. The entire area, due to being more isolated, has its own wildly different theme that does not blend with the others, which was intended to give the target audience an experience separate to the other zones, ensuring they do not feel left out or feel a need to go on the attractions that are unsafe for them. The zone, due to its young audience, is designed to feel as child friendly as possible, and as such, employs a cartoon, toy town aesthetic. The proportions of buildings are exaggerated to sometimes comical degrees, with an emphasis on height. Part of level 320's mountain has been chiseled and smoothed into rolling hills, and there are countless decorations in the non commercial and non ride areas to still give the impression of a child friendly and fun atmosphere. There are no extreme roller coasters, or indeed many roller coasters at all, and instead, the kiddie zone places an emphasis on safe, flat rides, such as spinning swings, teacups, and a handful of carousels, all of which can be researched on Entertainland's website. Due to worries with Backrooms' non Euclidean effects and infant development, no non Euclidean properties were punctured into the kiddie zone, not even to expand queue length, like is done in other zones. The folding point. Image caption: an elevated view of this sector, showcasing the attractions and shops whilst being taken from a level recreation area. The folding point, being the sector of level 320 most outlandish from the venue's level 32, Forest of the Skeleton Queen, days, is a massive indoor complex that has roller coasters and amusement park attractions, a variety of shops, and many safe recreations of more dangerous levels. The folding point is also a more budget option for park goers, as it has similar content to that of all other zones, barring the kiddie zone. Many of the cheaper packages, especially multiple day trips, offer cheaper tickets for access only to the folding point. The superstructure of the zone is comprised of 5 stories and a basement layer, although many areas have high ceilings that penetrate into the above floors. This is the case especially for the large theme park attraction areas, which take up the ground floor all the way to the fourth, leaving the basement area for staff maintenance and storage, which is the purpose for all basements in this zone. A majority of it is also constructed of glass, minimizing electrical cost and requirement by allowing natural light to flood in from as many areas as possible. The rest of the exterior is crafted out of reinforced concrete and rebar and is built simply to reinforce the dense number of things inside. The roller coasters and flat rides in this zone are relatively simple and compact due to the space limitations. However, the open area in which these rides are located has been made retroactively bigger by expanding the side of the interior dimensions to a safe degree, as with the queues for the rides also. Yet, again, to act as a blend of all other areas for a cheaper price. The themes of the rides differ greatly, with some fit for children, and some for older guests only. The shops and eateries of the folding point are directly connected to this area, and stretch deep into the complex also. However, they lack much interesting of note, other than normal non Euclidean tampering. Designed to still be entertaining, the level's recreations exist to give younger park goers who have not left the safety of towns or cities. Footnote: particularly Nua, Level 11, the city that never sleeps, Level 13.1, no data currently available, etc., and footnote, a safe feeling of what it is like to venture beyond direct MEOD protection. Extremely dangerous levels, or dead end levels, have not been recreated, as this area is intended to be a more educational venture for a multitude of ages. The main levels replicated are Level 0, Tutorial Level, Level 109, the Neon Hospital, and Level 253, the 5 stores, with other levels planned to be on temporary seasonal rotation. The actual recreations of these levels are non lethal, and obviously incredibly downscaled in size from their prototypes, but they work well both as educational areas and living museums. Extreme Sector. Image caption: a drone perspective of Entertainland's Extreme Sector. In contrast to Entertainland's Kiddie Zone, the Extreme Sector is tailored to older audiences with more extreme and thrilling rides, with an emphasis on actual roller coasters of varied and sometimes experimental rides. It is also tied for the largest area, above the size of the folding point, and tied with Peering In. It is also located at the back of the park, to the right of the Peering In and directly above the main plaza after diverting right at an intersection. Within the Extreme Sector, there is actually quite minimal decoration and theming, replaced with an extra emphasis on rides. Despite being tied for the largest zone, the rides themselves are still built compactly, both for cohesiveness with the rest of the park and to ensure that more rides of more kinds can be fit within. Most rides, while all built to be high intensity and thrilling, are basic steel or wooden roller coasters, with different layouts of varying lengths and speeds. There are, however, more unique rides, like suspended coasters, hypercoasters, water based coasters, and VR and AR integrated coasters, which are present but in lesser quantities. Despite being the opposite to the kiddie zone, it is not designed to be an individual experience, especially since it has no eateries and the only options for merchandise are at the end of attractions. There are also no ticket plans that only offer access to the extreme sector. Due to the fact that the extreme sector is built near the mountain that was part of a dead level. Footnote: this is elaborated upon under the history section, and footnote, some of the rides have been built into, and more accurately, around the mountain, sometimes leaving the perimeter of Entertainland itself. Peering in. Image caption: an elevated sector of Peering In. Peering In is the sector of level 320 that is deliberately designed to be the most similar to the original level 32, Forest of the Skeleton Queen, imbuing a certain level of nostalgia for the park guests that were around during its original life. This zone is themed around a carnival pier and other similar temporary/traveling fairs and amusement parks between the end of the last century and the early 2010s, with various modern amenities present to enhance the experience. Different to every other outside area, the main substance that makes up the ground is a mixture of stones, pebbles, and fine sand particles that were salvaged during restorations and copied to precise detail. On top of this flat paving of silicates are, mostly, carnival attractions and stalls such as ring tosses, duck ponds, balloon darts, bucket balls, as well as a handful of arcade buildings containing penny pushers, claw machines, daily raffles, as well as game arcades with VR and AR support. Roller coasters and flat rides, while still having all modern safety functions, are deliberately built to fit the aforementioned aesthetic. They are rusted in places and have minimal actual theming or supports, to which the same is true with the queues and ticket booths. The ratio of rides to carnival games weighs heavily in favor of the latter, and the number of rides is made even lower by the abundance of food stalls and dedicated buildings to eat and purchase other goods. In an attempt to take the carnival-esque aesthetic further, the north of Peering In is elevated onto a large wooden platform over a shallow bed of salt water to imitate a pier, hence the zone's namesake. This area, despite the difference in elevation and flooring, poses no other differences in buildings. The Holiday Homes. Image caption: one of this section's restaurants and hotels. The Holiday Homes are the final large section within Entertainland, and also the area of it that is the most expensive and exclusive to access, requiring a specific tier of ticket plan to access. As the name describes, this zone is specifically for those wishing to enjoy a multi-day trip to Entertainland without once having to leave the venue itself. Despite being the second smallest zone in Entertainland, it has still been ornately decorated and built as though it was part of a larger, grander area, with a mixture of grassland and sand outside of its roads and plazas. The pedestrian walkways house various exclusive shops, which sell various exclusive merchandises, and top quality restaurants that imitate places such as Las Panaderias. Note, see level 304, Las Panaderias, and level 81's Zoological Office, level 81's various exotic meat eateries. The hotels in this section, of which there are only 3, are still lavishly designed and are planned to later adopt periodical, unique, and seasonal decorations. Beyond the large foyer and waiting areas, level 320 museums, and large canteens, there are around 50 rooms per building, each with different numbers of beds in different sizes. As to be expected, almost all rooms are geared towards families, with generic and IP-themed suites. Regardless of the quantity of adults and children staying in these shared suites, the children's room/children's rooms are always kept in separate spaces to the kitchen and adult room/adult rooms via an open doorway to ensure children are always within reach. There are also rooms that do not have children's spaces, which are intended for club attending adult visitors and optional wedding packages. Prices obviously vary and can be consulted online, especially with discounts and group purchases. Dark Alley. Image caption: one of the sector's titular alleyways. The dark alley is a small back area situated between the north wall of the folding point and the southernmost and largest hotel of the holiday homes. It is a singular and long alleyway, made longer thanks to some heavy usage of non Euclidean puncturing to add twists, turns, and even intersections into what is actually a straight alleyway. Although designed as an open and non linear experience, like all other sections of Entertainland, and practically every theme park that exists, the zone has been designed with a level of storytelling to imitate the environmental designs regular levels exude. While the merchandise remains consistent, the stalls will gradually look more imposing, gloomy, and spooky, imitating a more dangerous appearance. Everything from the buildings, the pavement, and even the on site staff follows this general atmospheric rule. The dark alley has no coasters, no flat rides, and is instead solely focused on its visual storytelling, general ambience, and, most importantly, the sales of merchandise. Said products are cheaper within this zone, but the increased quantity of shop fronts and markets offsets the cheaper costs. The dark alley only has two entry and exit points, being at the northeast exterior of the folding point and the main southwest road in the holiday homes. However, both are still easily accessible, and using either one does not spoil the pseudo narrative of the zone. Due to the heavy amount of fourth dimensional overlap in this zone, more so than in the folding point, it is not recommended that those who are pregnant visit this section. Outside Entertainland. Despite Entertainland being the main and largest portion of level 320, due to the circumstances in which the level was resurrected, there are new portions that were never present during the level's original life, not counting all the new zones within the park's walls. Technically speaking, these sections are also loose recreations of other levels that had met similar ends to level 320 under its previous designation. However, due to only part of these levels being grabbed during level 320's restoration process, and the fact that they were not the focus of the project, a great deal of creative liberties have been taken with them. The Mountain. Image caption: two smaller hillsides next to the mountain, as well as some tents. The mountain, as well as several other surrounding mountains, come from what is believed to be the previous Level 101. Link to archive.org's Wayback Machine archive of a previous version of Level 101. Your dream shall never dawn again. Backrooms database. Watch your back. Survival difficulty. Class 1. Safe, secure, minimal entity count. Level 101 is the 102nd level of the Backrooms. It is unknown when it was discovered. Description: Level 101 appears to be a mountainside villa in the tropical mountains. Far away, you can see an unknown city, though one person with a drone reported that nobody was in the city. Level 101 has one type of entity, facelings, with the level 11, the city that never sleeps, effect on them. These facelings dress up like real estate agents, and every once in a while point at something and try to talk to thin air. Most of the rooms are spotless, thanks to the workers, see below. However, some rooms are covered in mold and dust. If you find these rooms, don't worry, it's safe. There are normally lots of supplies in these dirty rooms. Because the workers didn't clean there, they didn't take their payment there. The level has three main areas: the kitchen, with a restocking fridge, the pool, which is filled, debatable if the water is regular or almond, and the yard, which has a trampoline. The level has many bedrooms and bathrooms, which you can sleep in. However, it's not recommended to stay on the toilet for more than 1 hour, because if the facelings catch you, they will chase you and fine you. And if you don't pay up, they lock you in the fridge in the kitchen. You can swim in the pool. It's safe. The trampoline if your ticket out of that level. But of course, you can always live in the level. The people there are friendly, the entities are friendly, and the place is safe, secure. No, 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 you can't live here. You have a family to return to, a life. You need to escape. Also, don't jump off of the balcony. It's a trap. Colonies and outposts. The workers. They have 15 members. They are recruiting. They make sure that level 101 is in tip-top shape. Supposedly, the workers of this villa, until it no-clipped here, reside in on one of the bedrooms. Most speak Indonesian. Only one or two speak fluent English. Collect supplies from rooms as payment for cleaning it. Have a massive supply of food, water, etc. Things in the fridge. In the fridge, you can find supplies like almond water, some expired canned food, soda, pills, debatable if sanity pills, sandwiches, and notes. For some odd reason, there are letters on them, like JGNRWU, TWP, and KVUCYAQW. Entrances and exits. Entrances. To enter, you can simply go to level 11, the city that never sleeps, find a rock climbing building, and climb the rock wall in less than 5 minutes. When you are about to reach the top, you will feel tired and pass out. Then, you will fall for minutes and end up in one of the beds in level 101. Exits. To exit, go to the yard. That can take up to 1 hour to 1 month. Then, jump on the trampoline for 1 hour. After 1 hour, you will go through the trampoline and fall for 1 minute, and then land in a bed store in level 11. Return to the original article on level 320. The mountain, as well as several other surrounding mountains, come from what is believed to be the previous level 101, Your Dream Shall Never Dawn Again, a level that passed on sometime after level 32, Forest of the Skeleton Queen, did. Upon its death, and during its descent to the bottom of the Blue Channel, the west side of its mass landed atop of level 32's resting space, crushing one of the previous roller coasters. All of its previous anomalous features have been lost to time, having decayed after exit and voidstone evaporation. However, this complete normalization of the level ruins allowed it to be easily modifiable. With Entertainland's recent opening, there has also been a separate venue opened for those who wish to camp within the mountains. This venue is different to the also recently opened Camp in level 118. Camp, being a more expensive and luxury rental with options for static caravans and caravan trailers present also, all without the need to actually erect one yourself. If one does not wish to camp, there are also boating lessons, rock climbing, and even parachuting activities available, all of which can be found at different elevations and across different pathways through these mountains. Looking beyond the campsite and its first world amenities, however, the entire main mountain and the surrounding hillside have been terraformed. Footnote, particularly on the east side. End footnote, to more resemble a natural mountain with winding nature trails that both start and end at the roads of the other exterior sector. High Street. Image caption, a rug shop towards the edge of High Street at the opposite end of the mall. The High Street, located directly south from the main entrance into Entertainland and taking up the entire south side of level 320 outside the park, is a combination of two different deceased levels that have been smothered together and modified into an actual commercial high street and adjacent shopping mall. From consulting a greater collection of level archives, note, see the enigmatic level, the middle sorts, the two levels portmanteaued into the high street were once known as level 2021. Note, see the Backrooms fandom wikis article on level 2021, Scandium Bike Store, and level 2024. Note, see the Backrooms fandom wikis article on level 2024. Despite its similarities to the main plaza and folding point, this high street, much like other areas, is designed to exist as a separate experience from Entertainland itself, broadening the target demographic and allowing more people to enter the level and potentially become interested in visiting the park itself. If they do not, however, the funds and proceeds collected from this commercial area are pumped back into Entertainland itself to keep it operational. The design of the high street is reminiscent of high-end commercial districts from the front rooms, and also sells equally high-end and upmarket products and dining experiences. Due to only a small section of level 221 being taken during level 320's revitalization, it is now almost unrecognizable from its previous form. Although a bicycle shop does still exist on the high street, many more venues have been added of a high class. The main road is where the most high-end commercial lots are placed, as one would expect, but there are a variety of arcades. Footnote, the traditional definition, not the slightly more modern definition. End footnote. With just as modern and posh stock available, the mall, despite being a larger visual spectacle from the outside, is, in reality, no different to the exterior Main Street, heavily modified to appear just as prim as the Main Street. What was once regarded as level 2024 has been turned into a large, lavish, yet exclusively commercial, footnote, unlike the folding point, and footnote, shopping center. Many recognizable chain brands from both multiverses have been established exclusively inside this area, with many areas to socialize and eat as well. These social areas are the key distinction to set this indoor area apart from the outdoor section of Main Street, as well as the planned seasonal events to happen in the ground floor plaza. Those, however, are still in the early planning stages. Staff. Image caption. Two mascots out in the main area. To ensure level 320 is operated efficiently for the park goer, a variety of staff are employed to work both at Entertainland and outside of it, a statement which sounds incredibly obvious. While there are non sentient beings that live at the park to maintain the plant ecosystems, such as MVCs, note, see Object 83, mobile vacuum cleaners, most of the staff is made up of human adjacent, or otherwise sentient beings. Depending on the jobs, which range from simple fast food prep, night guard duty, to being a mascot, the pay and hours differ. The most active job, arguably, is the aforementioned role of mascot. Entertainland specifically utilizes a wide range of mascots and mascot outfits, and while most are pre existing characters from pre existing IPs, there are a select handful that have been custom made by the entertainment divisions and art divisions. Other active jobs are ride operators, especially for interactive flat rides, those who give guided tours, front gate workers, and cleaning crew. Pay, obviously, varies greatly between these roles. History. Image caption. An image from the physical archives of the reformatted GPD, showcasing Level 32, Forest of the Skeleton Queen, from 1959. Note, in this image, the abundance of trees that were missing in the 21st century, a potential signifier of the level's death that came later. The definitive origins of level 320, much like most Backrooms levels, are not known. From extremely deep digging into the archives, it is now believed that level 320, in its original life, and despite its contemporary theme, existed since the beginning of the Lost in approximately 10,025 BCE. Quite when it developed the amusement park features it became known for is a mystery that will most likely never go answered. But the first recordings of Level 32 under the name Recreational 28 were documented in 1959 and distinctly had many fairground and carnival attractions. The original level number was coined by the former Meg and subsequently adopted by the original GPD as Level 32 early into the former group's life, not long after their discovery of Level 11, the city that never sleeps. Although the level was already enjoyed by many, as well as being staffed by an entity known as the Infoman, footnote, despite efforts, the Infoman has not been found since his disappearance before Level 32, Forest of the Skeleton Queen, Level 32's demise. End footnote. In his group of entities, the Meg opted to help maintain the level, even when the calling cards of the upcoming demise were clear. On the 6th of October 2021, the level perished. Its entrances and exits ceased to function, and the otherwise indestructible, immovable voidstone underwent mass decay, causing the level to plummet. It is not known when the level's descent through the blue channel ended, but when it hit the base of the blue channel, colloquially known as the quote-unquote bottomless blue, it sustained surprisingly few damages. When the previous level 101, Your Dream Shall Never Dawn Again, landed on top of its west side, however, the ruins of the park sustained its first damages, not only from the impact itself crushing one of the attractions, but also from the vegetation from level 101 of overgrowing and spreading over most of level 32, Forest of the Skeleton Queen. It was in this condition that level 32 sat for over a decade until the MEOD's conglomeration with the Backrooms remodeling company over a year ago now brought curious questions to the forefront of our minds. After many refurbishment projects, many of which have been mentioned in this text already, it was theorized whether levels that were thought lost could not only be revived, but also reconstructed and changed for a modern audience. The Renovations Division terraformed an unused office level into a controllable claw to rescue the level from the compost bed of the Blue Channel's base, which is also where fragments of Level 101, Your Dream Shall Never Dawn Again, Level 2021, and Level 2024 were captured. And it was subsequently given a new position in the Blue Channel to live a new life. Work on rebuilding Level 32 renumbered to Level 320 due to another level, note, see Level 32, Forest of the Skeleton Queen, taking that designation, begun on the 9th of May this year and finished just a week ago on the 16th of July. So far, Level 320 has seen high attendance in its first week, which it is projected to maintain. Further developments. Image caption. An archival image from the former Masked Maiden's records of the previous designation for Level 44, corroding retail outlet, known as Alternus. Although only tangentially related to Level 320, It is hoped that Entertainland's predicted success will allow for further level resurrections, primarily using the funding generated through Entertainland to improve the level selection and saving process. Now, more than ever, it is heavily recommended to leave either analog or digital submissions at various locations in various destination levels and communities to decide what may be saved next. Due to the damages some levels receive at the base of the blue channel, not all can be saved. But if enough calls for one level are put through the renovations division, then it will be considered for revitalization. Entrances and exits. Due to having lost its main entrance and exit when it underwent its first death, level 320 has had new entrances punctured into it. Specifically, level 320 is accessible through level 1, Habitable Zone, level 9, the suburbs, level 11, the city that never sleeps, level 13.1, no data currently available, level 48, the Sunset Beach, level 118, Camp, level 178, Kyoto Dreams, level 186, the Infinite Valley, level 234, Detention Dimension, level 436, Salvaged Seaboard, level 608, The Trove of Their Hobby, as well as almost all other destination levels. In their parent levels, these entrances resemble brick archways, which are labeled with their destination, and are almost always placed within commercial or social areas. Within Entertainland, all entrances lead to a row of archways within the plaza just before the main gates to enter the theme park. Due to this, some do use level 320 as a small and proprietary hub level, which has been deemed acceptable. All of these entrances are two directional and are used to leave level 320 also. See the previous level, level 319, no data currently available, or the following level, level 321, Infinite Art Studio. Begin recording at 4:12 p.m. Date 27/07/37. Location: the east entrance to the folding point and the dark alley. Level 320. Involved individuals: Esther Hanks, Magnus Grand. Esther Hanks. Do we have to be leaving there so soon? I kinda enjoyed the level 0, tutorial level, recreation, Magnus Grand. Yeah, obviously. There's still whole sections of the park we haven't done yet. Esther Hanks. Do you really want to go to the kiddie zone? Magnus Grand. Ugh, no. Of course not, Esther. But I would like to go to the dark alley. Esther Hanks. We had a chance to grab a map back at the Magnus Grand. Yeah, I know. You keep reminding me. We'll be fine, honestly. They changed Entertainland a lot, far more than I would have liked, but I bet I can find it just from memory. Esther Hanks. You're going to try to find a place that did not exist the last time you were here, using memories. Magnus Grand. Oh, it's more complicated than that. Come on, I think it's north from here. Without much warning, Magnus turned to face Esther and took her hand firmly in his. He grinned and winked to her, to which Esther only gave a polite nod and weak smile back. Despite the coldness of her response, it didn't seem as though Magnus cared, as he began to lead on north, going at such speed that Esther almost tripped attempting to keep up. The afternoon was beginning to hit Entertainland, but because of the simulated summer sun, it was impossible to tell through the brightness of the day. Instead, it was clear, in the gradually reducing guest count, and the amount of other people who had left the folding point beside Esther and Magnus. They crossed the large concrete area of the empty car park and towards a small ginnel between two townhouses, part of a long row that led right to, and connected to, the exterior of the folding point. They passed through it, watching as a mist began to faintly flow in, seemingly as part of a generated effect of this sector of Entertainland. Esther Hanks. Isn't it just shops here? I know you want to look around and stuff, but maybe we can head home? Magnus Grand. Why would you want to do that? Esther Hanks. I'm sort of exhausted, Magnus. I want to relax. Magnus Grand. I thought you relaxed during lunch. Esther Hanks. Well, yeah, sure, I did, but Magnus Grand. Look, it's okay. Magnus stopped slowly, halting at an intersection in the tight recreations of back alleys. He turned slowly and transitioned his grip on Esther's hand into a more gentle hold, even interlocking their fingers. Magnus Grand. Look, you're overthinking it again, all right? Esther blinked suddenly, feeling rather taken aback by Magnus's comment. She looked at him without knowing what to say at all. apart from a few unintelligible stammers. Esther Hanks. I. I guess. You say that an awful lot. Magnus Grand. That's not for no reason, sweetheart. You overthink a lot, and part of me loves that about you, but ever since Somalia died, that overthinking's been getting to your head too much. Esther Hanks. I don't like you bringing up my mom like that. Magnus Grand. Well, sorry, okay? I'll try not to bring her up, if that's what you want. Look, part of this is your fault, I will say. I did suggest doing the hotel package. We have the money for it. I'm not trying to guilt you, just pointing it out. Esther Hanks. Really? Because it feels like you're trying to guilt me. Magnus Grand. I don't know what to tell you other than that you're wrong, Esther Bear. Why did you not want a hotel suite, anyways? The reviews say the adults only ones are pretty romantic. Magnus begins to raise his hand, cupping it gently onto Esther's soft cheek, using his thumb to press into and caress her skin. Though looking a little upset and extremely guilty, Esther rested her thumb into his palm, closing her eyes momentarily. Esther Hanks. It just didn't feel right. I. I'd feel homesick. Magnus Grand. For level 11, the city that never sleeps. That apartment isn't even yours. You were given it for. You told me not to speak about it. Esther Hanks. Well, I still would have. I. I've been wanting to talk to you, actually. For a while. I don't want this to come off as me being manipulative or mean, but I wanted to wait until after our day out. Magnus Grand. Why? We could have chatted about it in a hotel. Esther hummed awkwardly, moving her hand away from Magnus's hand and taking a step back from him. Esther Hanks. That would have soured the trip. Anything about what I want to talk about would have soured the trip. Magnus Grant. That just sounds like nonsense. Come on, these places close at 5. I want to get my hands on some unique merch, if there's any. Esther Hanks. This really feels like you're ignoring me, Magnus. Magnus Grant. No? I just want to get stuff before we leave. And we can talk about this at any time, can't we? You wanted to talk about whatever it is at home, anyway. Esther Hanks. Okay, that sounds like you're ignoring me. Magnus Grand. I'm just sorting my priorities, Petal. Esther Hanks. Sorting your. You know what? No. I'm sorry. I can't do this anymore. Magnus, I'm coming clean. Esther trembled momentarily, trying to pick together her thoughts as her back straightened and her hands went into the depths of her coat pockets. In an awkward air shared between the pair, Magnus coughed, watching his girlfriend with a pretty unconvinced expression on his face. Esther Hanks. Look, I've been thinking about our relationship for about a month or so now. Magnus Grand. I thought you said you weren't doing this now. Esther's expression broke, blinking a few times and staring at Magnus with an incredibly hurt and befuddled expression, followed by an incoherent mumble. Magnus Grand. Come on, don't give me that look. Can we please do this at home? This is an important day for me. Esther Hanks. An important day for you? Wait, no, hang on. When was this just an important day for you? I seem to remember the tickets mostly being paid for by me. Magnus Grand. Is this another one of your issues we're going to talk about later? Esther Hanks. What? No! Well, yes, it is another one of my issues, but I'm not going to save it for home anymore. Magnus Grand. Could you? Look, I do want to listen. Obviously, you're my girlfriend and stuff, but actually being in level 32, Forest of the Skeleton Queen, is important for me. Esther Hanks. We both were here as kids, Magnus. I know. Magnus Grant. No, no, not that. I brought it back. It's here because of me. Esther Hanks. What? Why do you think that? Magnus Grant. Because it's true? Esther Hanks. What makes you so sure? Go on, humor me. I doubt your love for the level brought it back by magic. Magnus Grand. Of course not. That would be silly. But I did talk to Holly Clove about starting that Lost Level series on the Blogrooms, which got level 32 back into the zeitgeist. And then, Esther Hanks, you've been talking to Holly? Magnus Grand. It was months ago. I messaged her with the idea, and a few more after she ignored. Is that so bad? I thought she was a mutual of yours. She said that you've brought me up before. Esther Hanks. I have. Look, I'm getting sidetracked. How the hell did you make level 32 come back? I doubt Holly's writing brought attention forward to the fucking renovations division. Magnus Grand. No, but I did send over 100 submissions to that department. It must have been picked up. Esther Hanks. Please tell me you're exaggerating. Magnus Grand. Well, I never counted or anything, but I think it was that many. I did some digital, some handwritten, with multiple types of handwriting. Some were also I think. All done over a week. I'm pretty sure they didn't suspect a thing. Esther Hinks. That's Magnus, that's really fucking weird. Magnus Grand. I did it for you. I wanted to help you. Esther Hinks. How does doing that help me? Magnus Grand. Esther, I really think you need to calm down. Esther Hinks. Don't tell me to calm down, please. That doesn't help. Just answer my questions clearly for once. I'm begging you. Magnus Grand. You were sad over your adopted mom, so I figured I'd go above and beyond and try to get somewhere from your childhood back to feel like a kid again. Esther Hanks. That's a really shallow excuse, Magnus. Magnus Grand. It's not an excuse, sweetheart. That's why I did it. Esther Hanks. You spent months, literal months, forging letters and lying to people. You could have just taken me somewhere nice, or kept on coming over to chat and talk without that other stuff. You didn't even come to Somalia's funeral, Magnus. Magnus Grand. Okay. Yeah, I didn't, but why else would I do this if it wasn't for you? Come on, think it through. Esther Hanks. I am thinking it through. Don't patronize me. You've never shut up about level 32 and those other dead levels for years. Level 32 especially. You did this for yourself. Magnus Grand. Then why would I include you in my plan if this was just for me? Esther Hanks. Because you wanted me to be your girlfriend? Magnus Grand. Well, sure, I did, but I didn't go into it with the hope of that. Esther Hanks. Do you not remember the first time you came over? Magnus Grand. Hey, I apologized for that. I waited until you were more comfortable before asking again. Esther Hanks. And ever since we've got together, I've not felt right. You make me feel uncomfortable in my skin, and it's like you don't care about me, unless you're having fun, or where Magnus Grand. That sounds stupid. You're making me out to be some terrible and horrible abuser, like some shit you get on TV. That hurts, Esther. Esther Hinks. No, I don't mean it like that. Magnus Grand. Then what do you mean? Esther Hinks. You treat me like a prize, Magnus. Some reward that you had to get for all your work bringing back level 32. Magnus Grand. That's stupid. Esther Hinks. Is it really that stupid? Look, please, be honest with me. I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt and say you don't consciously realize this, but at what point did I become an object to you? Magnus Grand. Esther, I don't know what you're going on about right now. Esther Hanks. That's all you have to say? Not even sorry? This is how I felt with you for months. Magnus Grand. I. Sorry, I guess? Esther Hanks. I guess? Magnus Grand. I said I'm sorry. Esther Hanks. It took me asking you to do it. You really do just see me as a trophy, don't you? Magnus Grand. Of course not. I mean, you were always different to other girls. I've wanted to date you since we went to level 32. I mean, I know I was really young, but still, I like your company. Esther Hanks. Okay. I don't know how any of that is relevant. Magnus Grand. Other girls are basic, simple, frankly, easy. You're different. You always have been, all feisty and fiery, but still compassionate. You stand out among the others, and your traits make it harder for you to accept a date or a boyfriend. You're a trophy in that sense. Esther Hinks. Oh, God. Magnus, please tell me you don't actually believe even half of the shit you just said. Magnus Grand. You don't want to believe that you're special to me? Esther Hinks. No, not that. That I can believe. And that's the worst part about all of this. The way you described me, ignoring your horrible putting down of other women, you just make me out like some golden treasure from that dumb Indiana Jones cinematic universe. Magnus Grand. Is there anything wrong with that? Esther Hinks. You are literally agreeing that you see me as an object. Do you even love me, Magnus? Or do you love the idea of me being your girlfriend and something to feel proud about having? Magnus Grand. It can be both. Esther Hinks. I, 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 Magnus, I can't believe you. Magnus Grand. What? Did I answer it wrong? I just said that I loved you. Esther Hinks. No, no, I'm not taking this. Holly was right. Magnus Grand. What do you mean Holly was right? What has she been telling you? Esther Hinks. Some advice I should have been listening to. I'm sorry, Magnus. Magnus Grand. Sorry for what? At Magnus's last word, Esther paused, despite having opened her mouth to say something immediate and reactionary back. She shut her mouth with a seethe, shooting Magnus a scornful glare, intense and sudden enough to put Magnus in a sense of unease. Esther Hanks. No, actually. I'm not sorry for anything, Magnus. Don't come back to my flat. All right? I'm going home. Magnus Grand. What? You can't leave. Esther Hanks. I have the tickets to scan on my way out. I can. Magnus blinked rapidly, stammering as Esther turned on her foot and began to leave back the way they came. He lurched forward, suddenly grabbing her arm. It made someone walk by turn their head confusedly, but they didn't stop to intervene. Magnus Grand. I have to leave too, you know. You're not leaving until I'm ready to go. Esther Hinks. Magnus, let go of me. Please. Magnus Grand. No, you have my ticket. I can't leave easily without it. You're staying. Got it? Esther Hinks. Magnus, please, you're scaring me. Magnus Grand. Is that enough of a reason for you to stay then? Esther trembled, trying to shrug her arm from his grip, with no success. She seethed after her attempt, even giving a pained yelp, as Magnus's grip only got tighter on her upper arm. Esther Hanks. Magnus, stop it! I will make a scene. I'll make this way harder than it needs to be. Magnus Grand. And why would you do that, Magnus Grand yanked Esther closer, looking at her with a small and annoyed scowl. His grip tightened some more, causing Esther to inhale sharply as her entire body jolted in pain. Esther Hanks. Okay, look, let me go. Please, I promise I'll stay, and I'm sorry as well. I didn't mean what I said. Magnus Grand. I, I'll believe that. I didn't want to scare you. I just didn't want to also get locked up in here all night, as much as I love the place. Magnus chuckled, in a slightly forced tone, at his own quip, gently letting go of Esther's arm afterwards, even patting her shoulder. Esther chuckled too, in a far more forced and petrified voice, rubbing her arm where Magnus had gripped her hard enough to bruise. She smiled at him awkwardly, her hands fiddling anxiously, before she suddenly began to sprint, passing by Magnus and into the deeper areas of the dark alley. Magnus Grand. Esther! Get back here! Assessing further relevancy. Potential for brevity. Brevity assessed. Summarizing further events. Magnus's expression swiftly changed from solace to anger, stunned on the spot for a good 2 seconds. When he fully realized that Esther was trying to escape him, he began to set off after her, following down the same linear alleyway that she did. He kept tailing her, gradually catching up to her, until she suddenly vanished from sight. He blinked in confusion, this distraction almost causing him to trip on his face as he skidded to a halt. He looked around confusedly at the space around him, realizing that even though he only saw it as a blur moments ago, it was an area he had already run down. He grumbled loudly, having connected the dots that the dark alley's non-Euclidean effects had separated the pair. Putting him back by several meters, he cursed under his breath, and resumed his hunt fruitlessly until closing time. Leave. MEOD's Activity Surveillance Archives, Level 320, the new and improved Entertainland. Activity detected. Monitoring activated. Hallway camera 5 active. Specialized camera 10-2 active. Specialized mic 10-2 active. Real-time AI transcript active. Begin recording at 6:59 p.m. Date 27/07/37. Location High Tower Avenue, Pin River Overlook, 10th floor, Apartment 2, Level 11, the city that never sleeps. Involved individuals, Esther Hanks, Holly Clove. As it was a weekday, the Backrooms, and Level 11 especially, was experiencing a rush of commuting people to and fro various points in the various MEOD conglomerated communities. The same was especially true for the renamed High Tower Avenue, a former factionless village turned into an office and residual paradise for a variety of the MEOD's big-name brands and divisions. One such was the building for the A-team of the Blogrooms, which had been housed in a great and modern skyscraper ever since its inception. More recently, however, many of the other modern office buildings had been repurposed into apartments and shops for the staff of the Blogrooms and other companies to live in and purchase from. Within the bustle of formerly dressed business people and less formally dressed journalists was a woman who looked incredibly out of place. Whilst she was following the crowd towards the residential portion of High Tower Avenue, she had not originated from the offices like everyone else had. Instead, she had crossed one of the safe connecting roads from Level 11's capital to here, and was trying to hastily brush past the actual commuters to reach the plaza that was connected to the Pin River Overlook, a formal and fancy apartment complex. She hastily ran through the plaza, bumping someone accidentally before going through the revolving door, and to one of the apartment's elevators. She pressed the call button a number of times in quick succession and sighed with relief when she found it empty. She got in it, pressed the button for the 10th floor firmly, and swung nervously on her heels as it ascended. She was out the doors the second they were wide enough to go through, and she paced down the corridor to the second apartment, of which there were only 4 on each floor. Almost falling, she stopped at the door, knocking on it rapidly. Esther Hanks. Holly? Holly, please, open the door. Almost as though Esther had wished it, after her rapid knocks at the door, it swung open quickly. The person on the other end looked alarmed and worried, almost matching Esther's emotions, with their worried look only worsening when they saw who was actually at her door. Holly Clove. Esther? What's wrong? Why are you crying? Wordlessly, Esther flung herself into Holly's arms, holding them tightly as she sobbed profusely on their shoulders. Holly, perhaps understandably, froze for a moment, totally unsure of what to do. She rested the side of her head against Esther's slowly and led them inside whilst closing the door. Enacting conversation tracking procedures, switching to specialized camera LR10 2, specialized mic LR10 2, real time AI transcript still active. Important. The following footage must be deleted within 168 hours unless preserved by an administrator or archivist. Holly continued to console Esther wordlessly as they were brought inside the large and surprisingly lavish main room for a journalist. It had 2 sofas and a sofa chair, all of which flanked a large but stout coffee table that was sat underneath a ceiling mounted television. There were also many bookshelves with varying quantities of books and paintings, which dotted 3 out of the 4 walls of the main room. The fourth was nothing but floor to ceiling windows and a glass door for a balcony, looking out upon the canal that the building was named after. Holly, very gently, brought Esther to sit at one of the couches, staying beside her. Holly Clove. Tell me what's happened. It's okay. Whatever happened can't hurt you anymore. Esther Hanks. Holly, I'm so sorry. I really should have listened. I'm such a fucking idiot. Holly Clove. Hey, Esther, don't talk like that. You're not an idiot. Even if what you're crying over is somehow your fault, we'll fix it, okay? Esther nodded slowly in Holly's arms, nuzzling her face closer into their shoulder for any sense of comfort. However, she didn't reply. Holly sighed after about 20 seconds of quietness, kissing Esther's forehead motherly, before slowly getting up. Evaluating conversation tracking procedures. Potential activation of specialized camera K10 2, specialized mic BR10 2, real time AI transcript. Evaluation of conversation tracking procedures concluded. Potential activation of specialized camera K10 2, specialized mic K10 2, real time AI transcript denied. Important. The following footage must be deleted within 168 hours, unless preserved by an administrator or archivist. As Holly left the spacious main living room and went into the kitchen, over to the right of it, Esther slowly transitioned from hugging the air to hugging herself, curling up into a ball on Holly's rather expansive sofa. She shut her eyes, and gradually her tears ceased, replaced just by quiet sniffling, as she waited for Holly's return. After a minute, Holly did just that, returning with both a hot chocolate and an unopened mini pack of tissues, passing them both over. Holly Clove. Here, take your time. Esther looked up from her knees, smiling genuinely, yet weakly, as she took the tissues first, followed by the beverage. She slipped it on, slowly, giving a hum of satisfaction at the flavor. Esther Hanks. You flavored it? Holly Clove. Orange and muted warpberry. Just how you like it, given how you seem. I know it's not much, but I figured it would help. Esther Hanks. No, no. Thank you so much. It means a lot. Holly smiled at Esther, gently taking her seat back next to them and putting an arm around Esther tentatively, worried about breaking her personal space. Holly took out a tissue and wiped one of Esther's eyes, still being careful about their boundaries, though, to Holly's relief, she let them dry her eyes. Holly Clove. Are you okay enough to talk about what's got you so upset? I can still give you space if you need it, for however long you want. Esther Hanks. You were right about Magnus. Holly Clove. I. I. Oh. How much are you comfortable with telling me? Did he do something to you? Esther Hanks. Today was our planned date at level 320. Holly Clove. It was? I assume it didn't go well. Esther Hanks. Well, it was at first. I I thought it was. I wanted to talk to him about how wrong I'd felt and I just wanted to go home, but he wouldn't let me. Holly Clove. He wouldn't let you? Esther Hanks. He kept saying we should stay when I asked to go home. And oh, I was frustrated. I just started telling him how I felt. He didn't understand any of it. He, you already know. All of your worries were true. He's a terrible person. I'm an idiot. Holly Clove. Hey, no. What did I say? You are not an idiot. Magnus is a terrible man, but he was, fuck. Clever is the wrong word, but he knew how to make you keep coming back, and I assume in ways I don't fully know. Esther Hanks. But I should have seen it coming. I should have. He threatened me. I I thought he was going to hurt me, Holly. He bruised my arm. It's obvious what he was doing, and how he thought of me. Holly Clove. It's obvious now. Keyword. You're bound to notice the warning signs now that you know what a danger he is. Esther Hanks. I I I still should have listened to you. Holly Clove. Maybe. This isn't the place to discuss that. And, and if I knew he justified hurting you, I would have done a lot more to protect you. What matters now is keeping you safe. If he did what he did publicly, he can't see you in private again. Do you understand? Esther Hanks. I I think Holly, he's been to my temporary apartment, and he knows where I actually live. What do I do? Holly Clove. Hey. First thing is we don't panic. Panicking isn't good in this situation. Secondly, I find you a new place. Plain and simple. Esther Hanks. But but my stuff, Holly Clove, will be taken to a new house, probably somewhere on the edge of the MEOD network. Esther Hanks. But how will we do it without him noticing? Holly Clove. Leave that to me, okay? As I said, I'll sort it out. I'll speak to Suzanne in legal and see what I can do. Esther Hanks. I don't want to make this into some big thing, Holly. Please, that's the last thing I want. Holly Clove. It's the last thing I want, too. Don't worry, I'm only speaking to Suzanne to see if we can move things without their location being documented. We'll put you somewhere safe until legal does something about Magnus. Or until Magnus forgets about you. Esther Hanks. And my family? Holly Clove. If he tries something with them, legal will get involved without me having to speak to Suzanne. 29/07/37. Magenta. Hey, Holly. White. Oh, Magnus. Hi. Magenta. Yeah, it's me. I clearly picked a distinctive color for the direct lines for you to keep recognizing it's me. You close our chat each time we finish talking. White. I certainly do. Magenta. You're sounding a little more frumpy than usual. Something up? White. No. Why are you messaging me? Magenta. Right. Well, I was just wondering if you've seen Esther. White. No. Why? Haven't you seen her? Magenta. Not since our date at Entertainland, no. She's not at the apartment she was given, and I went to the address of her actual home, and she's not there either. Is she with you? Can I see her? White. No and no. Magenta. Okay. Wait, why can't I see her? That's not exactly your call to make. White. Oh, no, it is. She told me what happened in level 320. Magenta. Really? What did she tell you? We had a nice time. She's not at the apartment she was given, and I went to the address of her actual home, and she's not there either. Is she with you? Can I see her? White. No and no. Magenta. Okay. Wait, why can't I see her? That's not exactly your call to make. White. Oh, no, it is. She told me what happened at level 320. Magenta. Really? What did she tell you? We had a nice time. White. Don't fuck with me here, Magnus. Make up whatever bullshit you want. You bruised her arm. I can see what happened with my own damn eyes. Magenta. Oh, she was emotional that day. I'm sure if we chat civilly, she and I can work out our little disagreement. White. You physically hurt her. Magenta. So? It was only a bruise. It's not like I hit her or did anything really abhorrent. Is she with her sister? White. I really wish I knew how disgusting you were months ago. Esther isn't with her sister, her dad, me, or any of her friends. She's elsewhere. Magenta. Do you know where that elsewhere is? White. Yes. Magenta. And you won't tell me. I'm not surprised. I'll figure it out myself. This is a really big overreaction. White. You won't find her. Go to hell. Magenta. Whatever. Leaving these chats before I can reply isn't a big thing to do. It's pretty cowardly, actually. Fuck you. 01/08/37. Holly really can be difficult. Despite the fact that she kept closing our chats, I kept asking her about Esther, hoping that she came to her senses and just told me where my girlfriend is. The fact that she feels important enough in either of our lives to hide her location from me is stupid, to put it bluntly. She was threatening me too, trying to be some big man and threatening legal action against me if I kept on messaging her. The coward only blocked me. I'll make some fake name and make another private line account and try again later. Is it against the rules of the entire messaging service to make a burner? Yes, but considering Esther has been basically kidnapped, needs must. Speaking of blocking, actually, Esther's blocked me on all platforms. It probably wasn't her choice. I won't blame her too much over it, but now I'm out of options on how to talk to her. Her sister's not helpful either. She's quite a bitch, actually. And while her dad is far more reasonable, he has no clue what's going on in her life, anyways, so he's just as unhelpful as the women. It's a shame. If he wasn't such an absent father, I think he could have helped. I've spent the last half week trying to find Esther. I imagined she'd be at a friend's or some destination level, but nothing of the sort. I even went scouting, despite my better judgment, but she's not around her sister and not near any flat she's lived in. In fact, it seems stuff is being moved out of her apartment. I saw some people in jumpsuits using pockets and worn sacks at both abodes and lugging them into a carriage. Assholes. So, my attempts at finding her in person have failed, and without access to her debit card anymore, I think she canceled her card since her information doesn't even work on my phone anymore, I can't afford safe travel regularly to search her favorite destinations. I have 4,000 in cash, but frankly, I'm going to use that to actually get a good day at Entertainland. I love her dearly, but she really found a way to make that day about herself. Maybe she brought up some good points, but looking back on it, I think she was just on her period. 03/08/37. Activity detected. Monitoring activated. Specialized camera 2-1 active. Specialized mic 2-1 active. Real time AI transcript active. Begin recording at 8:56 a.m. Date 03/08/37. Location Level 62. Jungle Backyard. Top floor. Room 5. Involved individuals Esther Hanks, Molly Hanks, Holly Clove. Despite being a level that has been known about for 16 years, Level 62 has always been on the edge of just about any group network. Originally on the outskirts of the Callig Institute's web of communities, it was now used sparsely as a communal home for either the poor, displaced, or the traveling, as Level 90, newly renovated home, and Level 469, the Bluebonnet Fields, were the main levels used to house these sorts of people. Level 62, Jungle Backyard, was hardly a densely populated location. Given the small size of the mansion within it, however, that was hardly to its detriment. Leaning on the windowsill for the window that looked out upon the backyard and impossibly dense jungle behind its unclimbable walls was Esther Hanks, wrapped in a thick shawl with a vest and jogging bottoms underneath. She seemed lost in her own little stare, holding a mug of hot chocolate in her hands, which her fingers were idly feeling the rim of. At a series of sharp knocks, however, Esther jumped in shock, turning to the door of her room where the knocking had originated from. Esther Hanks. Um, yes? Who is it? Holly Clove. Well, who do you think? Esther Hanks. Oh, Holly. Is Suzanne with you again? Holly Clove. No, this isn't that kind of meeting. I promise. Can I open the door? Esther Hanks. Sure. Tentatively, Esther got up from her perched position at the window and turned to face the door, holding the mug of hot chocolate close to her chest as she watched it open slowly. As expected, Holly came through first and gave Esther a warm but still serious expression, making her way inside casually. Behind her, however, someone else walked in. Molly Hanks. Hi, Esther. Been a bit, huh? Esther Hanks. Molly? In a small but incredibly hasty shuffle, Esther moved towards her sister, sniffling and putting her arms tightly around them the second they were close enough to. Molly chuckled weakly and hugged Esther back, putting her head on their shoulder. As the pair embraced, Holly went behind Molly, taking Esther's mug and setting it on the side to allow the two a moment together, undisturbed. Molly Hanks. Are you okay, Esther? Esther Hanks. Getting by, I suppose. Wh- what are you doing here? Holly Clove. I can answer that. Suzanne called in sick, but my schedule's still booked for the next 2 hours to come here. As long as we keep Molly coming over a secret, nobody needs to know. Esther Hanks. Right. Well, it's nice to see you again. How long can you stay? Molly Hanks. I called the whole day off of work, But as Holly said, these meetings are only 2 hours. I can only stay here as long as she does. Holly Clove. The blog rooms want me in the office right after this. Sorry. Esther Hanks. No, no, it's fine. 2 hours is excellent. I'll take it over nothing. Slowly, Esther untangled her arms from her sister while they did the same, tilting her head over her shoulder to a set of three basic sofa chairs that formed a triangle. Esther sat at one, scooting her chair closer to another and putting them side by side. The other two picked up on what Esther wanted, and, as such, Molly went to sit next to Esther, whilst Holly positioned herself opposite the pair. Molly Hanks. How, um, how are things? Sorry, I don't even know where to begin. Esther Hanks. It, it's fine. Your question, that is. Things for me are just okay. Molly Hanks. Not much going on? Esther Hanks. Not really. Have you seen this place? Molly Hanks. Well, it is small, and oh, I know the place got repaired 4 years back, but it's still a bit. Esther Hanks. Of a shithole? Molly Hanks. I was gonna be nice and say it's retro. Esther Hanks. Oh, you don't need to sugarcoat it. This place is shit. It's like where Dad lives, but worse. Does he know about what happened? Molly Hanks. Magnus has been messaging him. Yes, he knows. Dad's worried about you. Esther didn't reply, sinking slowly into her seat and sighing slowly to herself. Without a mug to fiddle with, she gripped the material of her shawl to feel its fabric. Molly Hanks. Sorry, you probably don't like hearing his name. Esther Hanks. I'll get used to it. Is he still messaging him? Is he messaging either of you? Molly Hanks. I blocked him when I realized who he was. Holly Clove. I've blocked him too, as has your dad. Suzanne's considering deactivating most of his online presence, unless he gets employed somewhere. Esther Hanks. And he doesn't know where I am? Holly Clove. Shouldn't, no. Your stuff was moved here under the table. The rest of it is stored in level 1, habitable zone. And while it may be a bit obvious to keep you in a residential level, this one's pretty remote. We can always move you again if he catches on. Esther Hanks. Right. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Esther smiled weakly at Holly, slowly sighing and feeling her mood suddenly deflate as she came to some kind of revelation. She sat up, crossed her legs, and rested an arm on the sofa chair's armrest. Esther Hanks. How long will I be doing this for? The moving and the being hidden. I'd like a life again. I can't imagine how worried my friends and work are. Molly Hanks. She does have a point. I've been worried sick about her, and I already knew where she was. Don't make her do this for long. Holly Clove. Believe me, that's the last thing I want. The legal division is contemplating introducing a wave of new laws that have been spurred on by this. Unsurprisingly, everyone having a chance to be domestic again is giving undesirables the opportunity to do undesirable things a lot easier. Not just Magnus. Molly Hanks. So, what does that actually entail for her then? Holly Clove. A restraining order, maybe? We had those back on Earth. It's a document which basically it makes it illegal to go up to a specific person. He may also get some kind of house arrest and permanent mark on his record. Molly Clove. Good. Esther Hanks. I suppose. But until then, do I have to live like this? Holly Clove. Sorry. We don't know what Magnus will do. It's best to be over-prepared. Esther Hanks. No, I get it. You don't need to apologize. 04/08/37. Begin recording at 1:10 p.m. Date 04/08/37. Location south of the Peering In section of Entertainland, level 320. Involved individuals Magnus Grand, Maeve Astra. Maeve Astra. Do you want to try it again? Come on, I'll give you double the amount of throws for half the price. Magnus Grand. This is rigged, isn't it? Maeve Astra. I am not legally allowed to confirm or deny that, but half off for double the throws. It's a good test to see if it is rigged. Magnus Grand. You know what? Fine. Sure. Show me you doing it again, though, just so I can know before spending money. Maeve smiled to Magnus cheekily from behind the counter of the carnival game she was employed at. Although the entire tent had multiple different stalls with different games, ranging from hook-a-duck to raffles to this game, which was throwing a basketball into an angled bucket about 3 steps away from the counter, Maeve reached under the said counter, taking a ball different to the ones that the public used and doing a basic throw into the bowl, making it seem incredibly effortless. The ball not only landed within the bucket, but it also did not bounce out. Smiling to herself, Maeve twisted to face them, with her hands on her hips. Maeve Astra. Ta-da! See! Easy. Magnus Grand. Yeah, well, you've had practice. You work here. Mavastra. Of course I've had some practice, but I'm not good at basketball. I work minimum wage, my guy. I'm not LeBron James Jr. Magnus grumbled under his breath, giving Maeve a slightly grossed out expression as she rested her elbow on the counter cockily and stared up at him. With an annoyed huff, he took out 20 notes from his wallet and put them on the counter. Clearly enjoying herself, Maeve snickered and directed Magnus's attention to the net of basketballs hanging above the countertop from the ceiling. Maeve Astra. Go ahead, love. Throw 8. Magnus Grand. I know how this works. Magnus sneered, reaching to the net of balls and taking out another one. For the 5th time now, he readied himself and threw it, watching tensely. Although it did land in the bowl, he possibly threw it a little too hard, as the ball seemed to bounce right back out. Magnus Grand. Oh, fuck off with that. Maeve Astra. Now, it's just a game, my guy. You've still got 7 more goes. Assessing further relevancy. Potential for brevity. Brevity assessed. Summarizing further events. Magnus grumbled, flexing his shoulders and tensing his fists before taking another ball from the large and seemingly refilling net. He threw it and missed, which happened the next 6 times after as well. After his last ball bounced out of the bowl hard enough to almost hit him in the face, he swore again under his breath. Maeve Astra. Bummer. Wanna try again? Same deal. Magnus Grand. Fuck. No, this is rigged. Maeve Astra. You saw me do it just fine. Magnus huffed through his nostrils, silently stuffing his wallet firmly into his pocket, and walking off without another word. Maeve's entertained laughter caused him to wince and tense his arms. But after he was away from the stalls and close to a large Ferris wheel within this sector, he calmed. He stood before it, but not near the queue, and instead pulled out his phone to check the map of the park. Magnus Grand. Is peering in section really this small? It's the only fucking good bit. As Magnus kept scrolling through the pathways present on level 320's map for peering in, double checking with the map key, his bubbling anger seemed to quell, replaced by a tired and bored look. He turned off his phone and put it into his other pocket, pinching the bridge of his nose in frustration, while exhaling loudly to remove the last few fragments of his frustration. Upon removing his hand from his face, he looked around idly, giving an exasperated sigh. Magnus Grand. I can't believe it. This place sucks. 20/08/37. Image caption. Teething troubles. A deep dive into level 320's Entertainland venue, investigating its popularity and profits over the first month of its operation, with the aid of our top critics to explain its lackluster start. 20/07/38. Image caption. A year in review. Level 320. Spencer Arden and Maud Fillon look back at the last 365 days since the grand unveiling of Level 320 and examine the shaky first 4 quarters of both Entertainland and its other areas. 20/07/39. Image caption. Speedy descents. As the summer hits the happy vacationers of the Backrooms, us at the Blogrooms look into why Level 320 is not people's choice of destination this holiday season. 20/07/40. Image caption. Quote, reminds me of Euro Disney. End quote. As the penny pushers in finance continue to check and run the numbers, Level 320's 3rd anniversary and year in operation seem more disastrous than previously expected. 19/09/40. The Blog Rooms. Breaking out fresh news since 2027. Image caption. September 19th. Factual. Walking so others could run. After a difficult fiscal year and yet another lackluster annual turnout in general, having seen a total decline in attendance of 64% this year, it has been announced that Entertainland, as well as the few parts of the wider Level 320 that are still in operation, will be closed permanently. This information no doubt comes as difficult news to many, especially with the almost accepted plans to turn much of the former High Street into a mass residential plot. However, the warning signs of Level 320's second death have been blaring loudly almost since it opened. It has been no secret from the capital of 13.1, no data currently available, to the far isolated outskirts of Level 699, cryostasis, that Level 320 has been a continual and bottomless pit for which the renovation division loves throwing money into. However, it would seem that after a particularly brutal 3rd year and non-existent anniversary celebration, that said division has finally come to its senses. Given rumors over financial issues due to 13.1's no data currently available, 13.1's far more successful renovation, it can be greatly assumed that the decision to end the upkeep of level 320 was done out of a need rather than want. Despite its shortcomings, from low attendance and minimal public interest, the fact that level 320 was the first revived level seemed to create an odd sentimentality amongst the finance division, vacation division, and renovations division, the latter being responsible for its resurrection in the first place. For the unaware, level 320, originally known as level 32, Forest of the Skeleton Queen, was dug out of the bottom of the Blue Channel to be given a new life and a new coat of paint to fix its broken areas and modernize it for a different era of Backrooms. Records indicate that, despite it having never been tried before, not even when the renovations division was an independent party, the process went almost without hitch. While Level 32's opening 2 weeks saw success at the predicted quantity, the following weeks saw a decline steep enough to turn heads by the time the first month of its operation had concluded. While bringing back a level from the dead, so to speak, is a technological marvel that has gone on to resurrect other levels from across databases, every single other resurrected level has had one commonality: a sense of necessity. With over 2,100 levels cataloged, an extra 481 in some kind of review or documentation, and a further 59 in pending approval status, almost every newly discovered level is surplus to requirement. However, not only are they not all pumped with money and renovations, the ones that are feel necessary. New science laboratories, factories, spaces for homes, those are necessary in a modern backrooms like ours. Now, fun is absolutely something to indulge in with our modern day advancements. One only has to look at the archived blogs of Mod Fillin for that. But another amusement park is too much surplus to requirement for how expensive the level was to make and maintain. The most famous amusement park level, after renovations, is currently level 890, Overprotection, which cost a far inferior sum to modify. Due to being the first of its kind, too, level 32, Forest of the Skeleton Queen, slash level 320's restoration, while being successful, hardly kept much of the original aesthetic. Although the process of finding and revitalizing level 320 went well, as already described, the original level 320 was far simpler. Nothing more than a carnival space misconstrued as an amusement park due to its large but rickety roller coasters. The renovations made level 320 appear far more generic and simple in many ways, with the exception of the folding point, which tended to attract more guests than the rest of the park. To explain it in brief, level 320 was overcompensated with restorations. Those with nostalgia for its original life struggled to see its old self within it, and those without that stuck to what they already knew. Decreasing budget over time certainly did not help the attendance rate either. The final opening day of level 320 is known to be the 30th of September of this year, but after the entryway turnstiles are locked for the final time, it is not actually known what will happen to the level next. Most likely, it will not be destroyed, as doing so would require the void stone generated to help with the level's homeostasis to be decayed enough to allow it to undergo a second death. Instead, it is believed that level 320's entrances from across the backrooms will be first deactivated, and then demolished, prohibiting any access into the level. From then on, the level would be allowed to run the course of its second life, which, at most, would be an extra 5,000 years of life until the Voidstone decays on its own. Other featured articles. Need a refreshment? Add. No image caption available. Hitting stores across the central MEOD network is a refreshing and new drink, Almond Cola. Been in an accident? That wasn't your fault. Add. No image caption available. Many jobs can result in a variety of injuries, which is especially true in the backrooms. You may be entitled to compensation. Saved from life support. No image caption available. The Renovations Division successfully saves level 20, Fun Zone, Revision, the Boreas structure, before its death occurs. Quote, I want my son back. End quote. No image caption available. Many otherwise normal citizens have begun to speak up about the MEOD's potential malpractice with their newest PA. Up to the task? Add. No image caption available. As ever, the MEOD is offering paid for and volunteer exploration roles, perfect for a CV or to pay for college. Go somewhere new. Add. No image caption available. Join the Travel and Vacation Division to find a destination level that best suits you. Distant cousins. No image caption available. Read the curious tales of all the human adjacent entities that have been discovered over the years, and theorize on why so many look like us in the first place. Blog Rooms, 2027 to 2040. The combined workforce of the former UBDS, B Rooms, and Daily Rooms. Yellow. They actually fucking closed it. Pink. Who is this? Yellow. They closed it, Esther. They closed it. Pink. Okay, so you know who I am. You didn't open this accidentally. Who are you, though? Yellow. You know who I am. Pink. I really don't. Look, it's late in the day. If you've picked the wrong code out of some drunken mistake, it's okay. You gotta tell me who you are, though, or else I'll just leave you be. I've got a meal to prep. Yellow. It's Magnus. Pink. Oh. Yellow. Is that all you have to say to me? Pink. I'm blocking you now. Be thankful I'm not immediately reporting this. The restraining order forbids text conversation too, you know? Yellow. I'm well aware. I got evicted from my house when my landlord found out about it. Pink. I don't know what you want me to say to that. Yellow. I swear you used to be empathetic towards me. Yellow. I swear you used to be empathetic towards me. Pink. I'm not even touching that can of worms, Magnus. I moved on. I got a new home. I have a boyfriend, too. Yellow. Oh, good for you, I guess? Pink. Thanks. Anyways, I'm just going to block you now. Saves you the effort of dealing with legal. Yellow. No, wait. I wanted to ask you something, Esther. It's nothing personal or weird. I just wanted your opinion on something, and I figured you could give me a good one. Pink. I should not be humoring this. Yellow. Would you, anyways? Pink. Do you not have anyone else to? Yellow. Not really. Pink. Then fine. Yellow. I want to know why you think Entertainland failed. Pink. You're breaking the law to ask me that? Yellow. I put in so much effort to bring it back, and it was my favorite place for so long, and now it's going to be gone again. Where did I go wrong? Pink. Are you seriously asking where you went wrong with Entertainland before asking where you went wrong with me? Yellow. I already know where I went wrong with you. Pink. Not touching that statement. If you want my honest opinion, though, I think the whole thing was dumb from the start. I get it. You were young, and level 32 would stick out to a young kid. But it was a boring place, let's be honest. A small, rigged carnival level run by a con man. It sucks it died, but what good did bringing it back do? Yellow. They attempted to modernize it, though. Pink. And did you like any of those modernizations? Did they even feel like level 32 anymore? Yellow. Not really, I suppose. Pink. The level was such a nothing when it first existed, they had to overcorrect to make it interesting, and in doing so, just made it generic. I don't care about being brutal with you anymore, and you asked for my opinion anyway. You were so caught up on your memories of level 32 that you didn't even consider why it should be brought back, just that you wanted it to be because of your nostalgia. It sucks it died, but not everything needs to be brought back. Yellow. That sounds right. Pink. I had months of pseudo witness protection to think about it. Of course I am. Any other questions? Yellow. No, Esther. That's all. Thank you. Oh, I'm already blocked. Activity detected. MEOD's Activity Surveillance Archives. You've been here before. Level 320. The new and improved Entertainland. No image caption available. Activity detected. Monitoring activated. Mic systems accessed. Video systems accessed. Real-time tracking activated. Real-time AI transcript active. Faults discovered. Dynamic solutions active. Begin recording at 11:03 a.m. Date 29/11/67. Location Level 320's front gates, main plaza, folding point, Carnival Alley, and Peering Inn. Involved individuals Esther Phelan, Sally Phelan, Macy Mann. Macy Mann. Holy shit, it's cold here. Esther Phelan. Did I tell you to bring a coat? Macy Mann. You said this place regulated its temperature. Esther Phelan. What I actually said is this place mimics the seasons in the front rooms, and it's currently November. Macy Mann. Does it get cold in November on Earth? Esther Phelan. Not as cold as December or January. Sally Phelan. Here, you can borrow my coat. Sally smiled at Macy, slowly taking off her big fluffy jacket and bunching it around Macy's shoulders, even buttoning the top to make it like a cape with dangling arms. Macy matched Sally's smile, after which was followed with the latter kissing the former's cheek lovingly. Macy man, still can't believe your mom is gonna break us into one of the abandoned renovation levels. I wish my mom did shit like that. Esther Phelan. Well, I think it's more accurate to say that I'm trying, but ugh, there we go. With a strained grunt, Esther sprung the lever on the chain breaker, enough to shatter the chain link she had tightened down on. The metal shards sprinkled across the floor, and the two halves of the chain sprung outwards with loud clanks as they scraped across the mesh metal fence they were protecting and holding up. Dropping the tool to the side, Esther fitted her fingers through a section of this mesh metal fence and moved it aside, granting access to three rusted turnstiles. Esther Phelan. Come on, girls, hop over. Error detected in tracking and recording procedure. Cause, corruption. Solution, skipping. Sally Phelan. Why are the buildings so flat? Macy Mann. Yeah, and why are all the interiors shredded to pieces? Acting as their much older guide, Esther Phelan was walking ahead of Macy and her daughter, while leading them down the main road of what used to be known, unofficially, as Entertainland's main plaza. Though once home to shops, merchandise, and parades, now only snow and debris from the shop interiors littered the streets, as well as a general grime from nearly 30 years of abandonment. Esther Phelan. Well, from what I remember, the insides of the shops were made to be bigger than on the outside. I know that's pretty normal nowadays, but it was sort of a big thing way back when. I imagine that when this place stopped being maintained and the non Euclidean ness was no longer looked after, it all went a bit wrong. Macy Mann. And that caused so many of the insides to become shredded and blown up. Esther Phelan. Well, look for yourselves. The evidence is all around us. Sally Phelan. No one was in those buildings when that happened, right? Esther Phelan. Heh, no, thankfully. This place was closed nearly 30 years ago, and I imagine all the shredding that happened was more recent. No one's been in this park for decades. Sally Phelan. Didn't it open 30 years ago, though? Esther Phelan. Just over. This place didn't exist for long. Sally Phelan. Why? Esther Phelan. Well, it was expensive to build and run, and man, you're making me remember stuff from my 20s. Sally Phelan. Is that bad? I'm sorry if it is. Esther Phelan. Oh, no, it's fine, honestly. Please don't apologize. My late 20s were nice. At least, I got married to your dad around then. Sally Phelan. Were your early 20s not as good? Esther Phelan. No. I. Have I ever told you about Magnus? Sally Phelan. No? Esther Phelan. Well, maybe for another time, all right? Sally Phelan. Sure. Macy Mann. Sorry to interrupt, but how is this place so expensive? It's a theme park, no different from the others. What made this one so tough to upkeep? Esther Phelan. Do you want to see? Error detected in tracking and recording procedure. Cause, corruption. Solution, skipping. Macy Mann. Holy fucking shit! Esther Phelan. Yeah, I must admit, I'm pretty surprised myself at how broken it is. I guess I should have paid more attention to the shops. Having approached it to get a closer look, Esther, Sally, and Macy all stopped before the ruins of what used to be known as the Folding Point. Once a colossal indoor pseudo mall with shops, attractions, and level recreations, was now long stretches of unidentifiable rubble and a crater wide enough and deep enough to puncture a hole into the blue channel itself. Some sections of the area's structure appeared to have survived, creating large pillars of concrete and metal towards the outer edges of the ruins, but not a shred of the original structure was still intact enough to identify. Macy Mann. Did they spend all their money making a nuclear warhead? Esther Phelan. No, this place was called the Folding Point. It was a massive mall, amusement park, and level recreator, I guess. I remembered spending hours in its version of level 0, tutorial level. Mason Mann. Why would you do that? I've heard level 0's terrifying. Esther Hanks. Well, you know what, actually, fuck it, I should have seen this coming. Sally Phelan. Is something wrong? Esther Hanks. Well, you two wanted to come, and I I figured I could handle it. Macy Mann. Handle it? Is this place dangerous? Esther Hanks. No, not at all. It may not be as safe as it used to because it's been abandoned for 27 years, but it's not unsafe or anything. This place just brings back a lot of bad memories. That's all. Sally Phelan. We can leave? Macy Mann. Yeah, we are technically breaking the law here. If it's too much for you, for whatever reason, we can go. Esther Phelan. No, no, it's fine. I'll power through, give you guys a good look around. And if you're hellbent on sticking with my daughter, Macy, you may as well learn a bit more about the family. Macy Mann. Uh, are you sure? Esther Hanks. I'm not, actually, but I'm gonna do it anyways. Come on, there's not much to see of the folding point anymore. Error detected in tracking and recording procedure. Cause, corruption. Solution, skipping. Esther Phelan. Alright, guys, just through here. Stick close to me, too. Gently, yet anxiously, Esther guided her daughters and her girlfriend into the opening alleyway for the dark alley, which, during these winter months, and without any actual electricity, looked darker than it ever had when it was actually active. Esther looked over her shoulder once she turned the first corner of the linear back road, making sure her companions were following her. Sally Phelan. Are we going to find somewhere to sit down here, Mom, so you can talk? Esther Phelan. No, and we won't find somewhere to sit down here anyways. It's all just alleyways and shops. Macy Mann. Won't some of those have exploded? Esther Phelan. Possibly, but I think we can still cut through here and go to Peering Inn. That's where you two wanted to go the most, right? Sally Phelan. That's the part that looks the most like the original, isn't it? Esther Phelan. Mm-hmm. Sally Phelan. Then yeah, that's where we want to go. Esther nodded and smiled at the pair, continuing to walk down the length of the current alleyway. She began to get a little tense, though, especially as they passed by a specific spot that seemed to make Esther shiver anxiously. Sally Phelan. Are you all right, Mom? Esther Phelan. Have I ever talked much about my life before your dad? Sally Phelan. Not really. I know you weren't an explorer in those days, but that's really about it. Esther Phelan. Right. Well, okay. Before your dad, there was another man in my life. Not the first, but he was my first proper relationship. Magnus. I mentioned him earlier. Sally Phelan. You did, yeah. Why'd you pick my dad over him? Esther Phelan. It it was an easy choice. He wasn't a good guy. He was manipulative and abusive and completely self-absorbed. I still don't fully believe him. He said level 320 exists because of him. Sally Phelan. How? Esther Phelan. He submitted over 100 requests demanding it be brought back. This was right when the renovations division was new, basically, and they listened. Sally Phelan. I I don't know what to say, Mom, other than sorry. Really, actually, sorry. I get why you don't talk about it. Esther Phelan. It was 30 years ago now. I've moved on. So has he, I believe. I see his name in a few opinion blogs sometimes, but for me, I just keep it buried. No point bringing it up unless I have to. Macy Mann. I don't know if it's my place to comment, but is that tough to deal with, seeing his name? Esther Phelan. Not anymore, no. He has a really stupid name. I'm sure he picked it for himself. But seeing it doesn't worry me anymore. It also helps that I haven't seen him in 30 years. Sally Phelan. Am I allowed to ask what happened? What made you realize who he was? Esther Phelan. This place. This exact zone of this place, actually. He used a lot of my money I got from your grandmother's will to take me on a date to this place. When I wanted to leave and talk to him about how I felt uncomfortable around him, he threatened me. Hurt me, too. I ran as quick as I could. Sally Phelan. And then you met Dad afterwards? Esther Phelan. Sorta. I got your late Auntie Holly to use her connections and get me hidden for a while. A year after that, a restraining order was slapped on him. I moved to 995, reality aligned houses, then to 46, Arabian Desert, where I met your dad in 39. We got married in 44, and then we had you not long afterwards. Knowing me, we probably had you on the honeymoon. To break the air, Esther snickered to herself at her own comment, putting her hands into her pockets. Her snicker turned into a small laugh, only fueled on by Sally's comment. Sally Phelan. Aw man, I didn't need to know that much. Esther Phelan. Sorry, I couldn't help it. Too funny not to throw that in. As much as it is true. Sally Phelan. Oh, it gets more gross every time you bring it up. Error detected in tracking and recording procedure. Cause, corruption. Solution, skipping. Macy Mann. Oh my god, I hate this so much. Esther Phelan. I know. I didn't think it'd get this bad. With a laugh, Esther hastily moved herself, Sally, and Macy underneath a surviving carnival tent within Peering Inn to protect them from the sudden hailstorm that began to fall from the heavens at fast speeds. Once they were all under cover, Esther sat down on a rusted metal counter. and took a moment to catch her breath. Sally and Macy did the same, with Macy resting on Sally for support. After about 10 seconds, Esther began to laugh. Esther Phelan. Ha! Oh, that was excellent. I don't get to run like that often when I'm not working. Macy Man. I'm glad one of us enjoyed it. My lungs are on fire. Sally Phelan. I kinda liked it. Macy Man. All right then. Two of us enjoyed it. Maybe I'll go running with you more often, Sal's. Sally Phelan. I'd like that. Gently, Sally kissed Macy's cheek, followed by a small peck to the lips. Esther glanced away for their sake and got off the counter to stand at the perimeter of the tent to watch the heavily falling hail in front of her. Esther Phelan. Do you two want me to give you some space, by the way, in case you want to be alone as a couple? Sally Phelan. Esther Phelan. Not like that. I know that sort of stuff isn't even your thing. Sally, don't worry. I can imagine it's a bit awkward having your mom stand around whilst you're with your girlfriend. That's all. Sally Phelan. Um, I guess I wouldn't mind. Macy? Macy Man. That would actually be nice. Yeah? I don't want it to seem like I'm trying to get rid of you. You're a nice person. Esther Phelan. I didn't think that at all, Macy. You two have fun. I'm happy to see you two being happy. Esther smiled at the pair, sighing to herself and pulling the hood of her coat over her head, its fur trim obscuring her eyes. For Esther, though, that seemed to work in her benefit, hiding the happy tear in the corner of her eye as she took a step forward into the hail. Sally Phelan. Oh, wait, Mom? Esther Phelan. Yes? Esther turned quickly on her heel, looking back at the young couple inside the tent. Sally Phelan. You're definitely okay, right? That stuff about Magnus you talked about? You are over it and doing better, aren't you? Esther Phelan. I am, sweetheart. Thank you, though, for listening. I don't talk about it to many people. Sally Phelan. I imagine you only tell close family. Esther Phelan. Yeah, close family only. Despite Esther only speaking to her daughter, her attention shifted to look simultaneously at Macy, smiling at the pair of them. She put her hands deep into her pockets after and left to explore the ruins of the peering inn, whilst her daughter and her girlfriend hugged and chatted as a happy couple.